Dr. Sam Beckett led a government experiment in time travel, known as Quantum Leap. Pressured to prove his theories or lose funding, he stepped into the Quantum Leap accelerator and vanished. He awoke to find himself in the past, facing mirror images that were not his own, and leaping from life to life, making right what once went wrong and hoping each time that the next leap would be the leap home. Now, in 2022, the government has reopened Quantum Leap to unlock the secrets of the accelerator and its creator, now led by Dr. Ben Song. He too, now, without permission and authorization, has stepped into the accelerator and finds himself leaping from life to life, striving to put right what once went wrong, hoping each time to find his way home. Now, join us every Tuesday on the Leapcast as the Leapers review Quantum Leap, past and present. So join us. Are you ready for the adventure? Are you ready to leap? Oh boy. Welcome to the Leapcast, guys. This is our first episode for the Leapcast, where we'll be discussing Quantum Leap, past and present. The new episode just aired yesterday. And speaking of the Leapers, that's what we're going to be calling ourselves right now, at least so we come up with something better. The Leapers we have Super Awesome Geek Show.
Whoa, what's going on here?
And we have the man, the myth, the legend, the Wolfpack himself. Wolf Doggy Dog. He's a little sideways. That's okay. Ziggy messed up and he's being projected sideways, but it's good. How are you guys doing tonight?
Doing good. Wolfpack, is he muted now?
He shouldn't be. Can you say something, Wolfpack?
It is, yeah. He's got mute in his corner there.
Right, you guys got me?
There you go.
There he goes. So, Quantum Leap 2022, as we'll call it.
There you go. There you go.
I'll be honest. I really want to see where it goes. I watched it live last night, and there was a little trailer afterwards that showed us where the show is going, and I'm kind of psyched to see where it goes.
Oh, me too. I'm
fully on this fixed.
Nope, not a problem.
I'm fully on board with this. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, Quantum Leap. It's definitely making it its own, still reminding us where it came from, and I'm loving that. I'm loving that tremendously. Speaking of loving things, let's see if we can check out the chat here. See if I can pull that up. There we go. We got a lot of chat in the house. We got Rolando Flores. We got Brody. Spidey Bats.
Whoa.
Rolando Flores again. Rolando dropping the links. Thank you, Rolando. We got Brody in the house. Let's catch up. We got Duffman's Dioramas.
Hey.
If you need a diorama made, this guy is a master prop maker himself. Duffman.
Absolutely.
Check him out on Instagram at Duffman's Dioramas.
Good stuff.
And let's just catch up. Of course, we got Super Awesome Geek Show. He's in two places at once because he is a time traveler.
Plus
we got the lack.
Right?
We got the lack attack.
It's lack.
Saying Leaping Dave. We have Ferris SoCal. Thank you for dropping in. So we're going to be talking Quantum Leap. Spoiler warning. Once again, spoiler warning. We're going to be talking about Quantum Leap. So if you haven't seen it, you might want to leap back to the stream afterwards, because we will be disclosing everything and anything that happens.
Yeah.
We got Sonny from Down Under.
How you doing, man?
Sonny saying hello to everybody. So yes, Quantum Leap is back. To be honest, I'll be honest. I'm that geek. I'm that sensitive geek. I got the chills when you heard Deborah Pratt's voice, the voice of Ziggy, giving us a little background about Dr. Sam Beckett. I hope they continue that. Showing that connection to the original series.
For me, it was the hologram. The hologram with Sam's picture in it.
There's a point in the show where Addison, who is the hologram, the observer for Ben, although it wasn't supposed to be that way, and we'll get into that a little bit later.
Yeah, that was interesting too.
She holds now here's the thing. Her hologram or her hand link looks like a small little kind of Siri, almost like a small little Amazon Echo kind of like small compact in her hand. But Dave's Dimension has uncovered another picture that shows her holding a different type of hand link. I'm trying to see if I can pull that up here very quickly. It's in one of my other photos.
The one in the old show changed in every season. So
no, it didn't. Actually, there was 2 hand links.
Yeah.
In the first season or season or 2, it was kind of clear with like a few lines.
There was 2 different clear ones because I just watched it over the weekend, and the pilot, the 2 episodes for the pilot had one that was totally clear and almost one-dimensional, and then they went to a clear one that had stuff added onto it. Then they went to one that was totally black, and then they had the multicolored one with all the colored squares and beeps and whistles.
The Tetris shape, like with Tetris slots are kind of starting to fall in. That's kind of what I called it back when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So this is the newer one. I found an image. This looks like the San Francisco, looks kind of earthquake like, and she's holding a slightly different one. And I'm thinking that this is going to be the hand link moving forward.
Yeah.
But we'll see what happens. I mean,
and that one goes back to having all the multiple colors and little bits and bobbles on it. Yeah, that's cool.
So it'd be cool if they do the little "you damn piece of gummy," you damn bunch of gummies, or because Al would always curse at the thing because it never worked right. That's gonna be cool. Now, of course, the thing with Quantum Leap though, this dynamic was it starts out. It actually opens up with, let me fix this. It actually opens up with an engagement party. Ben and Addison are engaged together. They're about to get married. And after the engagement party, we find out that Ben is not very confident in talking in large groups. He's the nerd, He's the atypical nerd. And in the very first episode, we definitely see him coming out of his shell, and I enjoyed that personally. I think that was very cool seeing that. But under mysterious circumstances, we see him go to the project. We see somebody working on some software, and we eventually find out who that is at the end of the episode. This is an unauthorized leap. Ben. I said Sam. I know I'm going to be saying it a lot.
Yeah, that's going to happen.
Ben was flubbing. Ben steps into the accelerator, and we definitely got a massive upgrade on the accelerator.
Oh yeah.
That accelerator was big time upgrade.
It wasn't just some blue smoke.
Oh, are you talking about this?
Yeah.
Yeah, we go from this. And then we go to this.
Yeah.
And we got the gyroscope effect here. Obviously,
cool.
This is all CGI because they did not physically build this set. Obviously, this is all CGI. But they definitely brought their A game with the CGI here. Here's a picture of him accessing it. And it's, we definitely have a different kind of Quantum Leap here. One thing that was very absent, if you're a Quantum Leap fan, guys, one thing that was absent is the waiting room, because that's where they would get a lot of intel. Al would go in, or Dr. Beeks would go and interview the person that Sam leaped into, and that's where they would get some of their information. Yes, their brain was Swiss cheese like Sam was.
Yeah,
but we didn't get a waiting room.
I was wondering that too, because I was like, why don't you go ask the guy? Isn't he over there in the waiting room?
Well, here's one thing. This episode right here, the one where right here, this was Leon Kanowski was the guy that Sam leaped into, who was a criminal, and he actually breaks out of the project. So what they may be doing moving forward is they may just, when someone leaps into, when Ben leaps, they may be keeping that person in a medical coma, potentially speaking, or sedated, so that there's no kind of security breaches. That could be what they're doing, and maybe that's why we won't have a waiting room. But we'll see what happens.
Not out of the realm of possibility, but also with the episode where you talked about with Leon, it brings from a writing standpoint, it gives you a whole nother dynamic to play with, to
Yeah.
That in the pilot episode, they did a really good job of opening up the world in 2022, not so much in the past. So yeah, we're getting like as soon as the show started, they're introducing us to everything, every character that you're going to deal with.
I mean, like
in present day.
I mean, the project here. I mean, we get to actually see the control room, which I mean is a major difference. I mean, that's.
I mean, we didn't get to see this until season 3, season 4 of the original. So we're getting it episode 1.
Yeah, that was our control room, and a little segue. You had the dynamic between Ben and Addison that they are engaged, and here's Sam's wife, who is stuck manning the controls at Project Quantum Leap while he's leaping in time, and of course, wooing the ladies all throughout the past, and she was fine because he couldn't do what he could do if he remembered everything about here's Gushy and here's Dr. Donna Alisi, and we get Ben doing a little quantum leap effect. I like because I swear when he leaps in, that they did a very low key leap, which is very similar to the very first episode.
Yeah.
The very first episode, you see a sky montage going real fast, and then you hear like a little sound and Sam waking up. That's kind of what happened with Ben. Ben just kind of like woke up. We don't see any kind of energy effect. There's a faint sound effect, but that's about it. Here she is in the imaging chamber, and the imaging chamber definitely got an upgrade because the old one was just a really bright blue.
It looks like a holodeck almost when she had it on. Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, it definitely does.
Similar to Cerebro with the walking path.
Yeah, too. Yeah, it had Cerebro vibe with that path. Yeah.
I mean, we have the new team here. Of course, we got Magic, and I'm like I was telling John before the show, I am dying to hear what Magic's connection, how he was brought into the project, because it's pretty damn coincidental that he's the lead or the government liaison with the project itself.
Yeah, because
he's the head of the project.
He was in an episode of the old one.
Yeah,
like he was one of the guys that
Sam leaped into.
And helped or whatever. Yeah,
but they also alluded to in that episode, the Vietnam episode. They alluded that Magic was someone that was kind of a good luck charm to that platoon.
That's right.
Because he kind of like knew things before they happened. I mean, that tells me right there. That tells me that, maybe he has a little ESP. Maybe he remembers a lot of what happens. Most people, they, when Sam leaps into them, their memories kind of revert back just like Sam's does. When Sam leaps home in the 2-part episode where him and Al trade places, all his memories of the past 4 years were vanishing. Maybe because Magic has ESP, he remembers everything. We don't know. Those are questions we'll find out later in time. But
that's actually bringing up something that you guys might be able to answer for me, because over the weekend I watched a good number of the key episodes throughout the 5 seasons, so the beginning of the show, the end of the show, and then key episodes like the one we're talking about with Magic and others with the ones with other leapers and the evil leapers and things like that. Hey, what's up, Kat? But I was always wondering, like, there was a few episodes where, like, when you're dealing with Jimmy and his brother,
Yeah, Jimmy LaMotta.
Like, because he ends up helping them twice because the evil leapers goes back and tries to screw up their, the good that Sam did in a sense of the first time we met them. But it was like, it got me thinking, like, if Sam or now Ben leaps into a body, and that body, that spirit of the individual, whatever his consciousness is, now in the waiting room, say it takes like a week or something for Sam to correct the situation. So like in some of those cases, Sam had like done stuff with the person's wife or girlfriend, or not just like physically. I'm just saying like he actually helped their marriage or helped their relationship with the girlfriend. And then when the guy leaps back, like say Sam was there for a week, when the guy leaps back and Sam's gone and now he's back, the consciousness is back in his body.
Like have things really changed, or does that person just have no knowledge of it?
Does he remember that? Like, does he suddenly get flooded with all these memories of him?
I have an answer. I have an answer to that for you.
I
have an answer for that. There's an episode called Shock Theater, where Sam leaps into a mental patient or a psychiatric patient named Sam Biederman.
Yes.
Now, Sam receives electroshock therapy when he leaps in.
Yeah.
That causes a shock to his system as he's leaping, and his memories, like his persona, his ego of Sam Beckett, is put on a back burner, and now he's taken on the personas of all the people that he's leaped into.
Yeah, and the doctors think he's got multiple
personality. And he's just not saying he's not just speaking as them. Like there's an elderly black man named Jesse. He starts talking like he's Jesse. That means that when Sam leaps, his memories, his mesons and neurons, his memory engrams, everything that is him is going back and forth with that person, and he takes a little bit of that person with him, just like they might have a little bit of him. There's another episode, actually, there's one episode where he leaps into Lee Harvey Oswald, and he does multiple leaping. And him and Oswald, they're taking over each other's bodies half the time. So it shows that, it's like kind of like an exhaust trail, like a trail of oil dripping out of a car. He still has a little bit of him. Okay, so I like to think that when Sam leaps out, traces of those memories are left in that person's place, left in that person's wake. So based on like they're having their memories, and the example of the Lee Harvey Oswald, the example of the Shock Theater one, because he's bringing up and talking, and he's just not speaking. He's mannerisms of Jimmy LaMotta.
Yeah, he does.
Samantha Stormer. I mean, he is literally acting as those people. So why else? How would that happen if he was pretending to be those people? No, he's talking as if he is those people. So there has to be traces within him.
He does it right from the start with Jimmy. Like it's real clear with Jimmy, because he does it right from the moment he jumps into him. So he doesn't suddenly stand up. Or
Samantha Stormer being a smoker. Normal. Sam's not a smoker. Yeah. There are certain things. So, and you had mentioned about their spirit. We know that it's actually Sam's body showing an aura of that person, because there's an episode where he leaped into a Vietnam vet who was actually lost her legs in the war. He actually stands up at one point. So we know he's in his body.
That's right. Yeah. Well, that's because
the chimpanzee episode, as well as the episode when he's like a 12-year-old boy. So, the dad's able to put his arm around him like this, but in actuality, he should be about a foot shorter.
Yeah. It's the same thing. Like, how is it that if he leaps into someone, how do those clothes fit him perfectly? It's just the aura of it. Yeah. But Ben leaping into, one, I love how Addison's like, you don't know how to drive stick. Because he leaps into a getaway driver for a van, in a van. He doesn't know how to drive stick, and it's just really messed up and hilarious. And obviously it's weird that they keep making Addison and other people from Project Quantum Leap are making references. Oh, we knew memory loss was a possibility. That was a possibility from Jump Street, from the original Project Quantum Leap. When you leap, your brain is going to be Swiss cheese. That was a given. And even though, because little background, Ben was brought in 5 years prior to this to reactivate Project Quantum Leap and potentially repair the accelerator so that they can travel through time and then pull that person back. So it is a slightly different concept. And we find out through this episode that Addison was supposed to be the leaper. And that Ben was supposed to be the hologram. But apparently now it's the other way around. And the whole thing about Ben having no memory, his brain being Swiss cheese, and now Addison is the observer. And you can tell there's a few times when she wants to tell him who she really is to him.
Oh yeah. She actually almost says it a couple times, but something happens to interrupt him.
I think it's going to make things very interesting for the dynamic of the show. But the problem is, if this was Sam and Donna, if Sam saw her, he would remember who she was. So I mean, we'll see what happens. I was a little disappointed that we didn't hear Ziggy. We hear Ziggy's voice in the intro, but we didn't hear Ziggy in the show. Hopefully they're going to do that, because we know Deborah Pratt is in the beginning credits.
Yeah. But I was going to say yet, because they were also spending most of the episode sort of repairing or getting Ziggy fully online, So.
Yeah, because the new code that Ben downloaded into Ziggy, we don't know what kind of code this is or where it came from. And I say where, even though we know that we're going to get towards the end of the episode, someone with a connection to the original Quantum Leap, so to speak, is behind this whole thing. But my whole thing is this: as far as me personally, I think we're going to get the Evil Leapers at some point.
Oh yeah,
I think that project is, because going back to the old show, the Evil Leapers. Those that don't know, there was a project somewhere else in time that we don't know where. It could be 20, 30 years from Sam's point of view. It could be 30 years. Who knows? It could be in 2022. We don't know.
Yeah. Well, and there was nothing really in the old show to limit it to our Earth either. It could be a multiverse thing too. It could have happened on a different Earth, and it's in.
John, really? Don't we have enough multiverses out there?
You don't know. I mean, it was a weird situation with that person.
I mean, we don't technically know that every time Sam leaped in the original, he was jumping dimensions. We don't. There's no clarification on that one.
Yeah, no. There's no clarification.
And, technically speaking, and I'm probably going to blow a few minds here. Technically speaking, time travel is multiversal travel.
Yeah.
Every time we make decisions, it's like the strands of a rope. Every time you make a new decision, that's another strand of rope that's coming unraveled, and you have a different timeline.
Yeah.
Further on. So technically, yeah, it is multiversal. Yeah, anyone that wants a good example of that, check out on Peacock. They have a show from the 90s called Sliders. That's a perfect example of that show.
Yeah,
that was another favorite of mine back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, shout out to Sliders. Picked up the torch after Quantum Leap was gone.
Oh yeah, because that was right around 93.
Yeah,
the Cro-Mags are attacking.
Yeah.
The later seasons weren't so great, but but yeah, it had that. Sliders was a show about a young college scientist who built a machine that turns out that he could open portals to different dimensions. He activated his timer prematurely, lost his home coordinates, and now was sliding from different dimension to dimension. Same Earth, different dimension, hoping that maybe the next slide would be the slide home. Very much Quantum Leap.
Very,
and it was
Rick
him.
And Morty also very, very Rick and Morty.
Yeah. Well, technically, on a scientific and technical thing, it's not a different dimension. It's a different multiversal Earth. Because dimensions are a measure of distance. So you can't come from left or from 5 feet right. You know what I mean? It's
not exactly. If you, because on that going to Sliders, they actually had a basically like a GPS type circuit inside of it. So they tried to land in the same spot, but they never did. Sometimes they would land in different places because different Earths rotate at different revolutions.
Yeah,
they slid into a world once where they it was basically like 1985 and they were in the 90s. So different things can happen. But Quantum Leap, Ben, I don't know. Like, I liked. He's definitely a nerd, but he's definitely stepping outside his shell. Like when Addison looks at him when he knocked out the one guy, and he says, "What? I don't punch out the bad guys all the time." She's like, "No, you're more like punching code in a T-shirt on a computer." She's like, "I bet that hurt." He said, "Yeah." I mean, it's going to be interesting to see because Sam Beckett, going back to the original Quantum Leap, this was a guy who had several doctorates. He was a medical doctor of quantum physics. He also knew martial arts.
Yeah.
Ben doesn't seem like he knows martial arts all that much.
But he does speak multiple languages.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm excited to see where it goes. Honestly, I gave the episode an 8 out of 10.
I'm at a 9.
Wolfpack?
I'm on second viewing. Second viewing, I enjoyed it a little better than the first. I'm going to go 8.
Okay. Because everyone's opinion is different, let's be honest. Okay? I wanted to see a little bit more background. I mean, we know it right in the intro where Deborah Pratt does the intro about Dr. Beckett and that the project was abandoned. You know, though that questions, did they rebuild it out of the same facility? You know, I don't think that that's the case because they look like they were in like California or some, you know, like a very close to a city somewhere else. I mean, we saw a lot of different things there. I mean, I'm pretty sure that this is the original Quantum Leap.
Oh yeah, it was in the desert in the mountain.
Stalin's Gate, New Mexico, technically speaking. I know that for a fact because after Quantum Leap the original Quantum Leap went off the air, they had actually a big series of novels that came out of Quantum Leap. They even had one where Sam split into 2 different Sams because he leaped into twin brothers. Huh. I mean, they had some pretty wild stories. But,
yeah, it's supposed to be inside that and underground. Yeah.
Yeah. But, I mean, it's, you know, like, I really want to see where things are going. Now, with this new code, here's my fear. I think that the new code that was added to the computer, to Ziggy, was this maybe from the Evil Project, for one. That's one fear I have. Okay. Well, that's the worst case scenario. By the way, I wouldn't be doing my job if I wasn't complimenting Wolfpack on his little background right there.
I know. I was looking at that too.
His Quantum Leap DVDs.
All right 5 seasons right there. Yeah, I was looking at that.
Gotta represent.
I had to fish these out of the basement. You know, you can Peacock has them for free, guys. Don't.
And the original show's on Roku for free. Yeah.
I actually bought the digital copies on Vudu, VUDU, a couple years back. So, yeah, that way I don't even have to worry about a disc.
Yeah, the actual Roku app has Quantum Leap and Sliders and original Airwolf, A-Team. They have all those old shows.
Let's just do a little catching up here. We got Gap After Dark.
Gap.
I'm gonna go grab a reload, guys.
He hasn't seen the first one. No, go right ahead. We got Rob's Collectibles.
Well, we are spoiling it, Gap.
Ferris says that's probably old Ziggy code. That's why it's broken. You know,
I wondered that too. I wondered if it was some old code that she gave him. You know, yeah.
Darth Maul's Dave dropping science. Yeah, man. Honestly, in high school, I was such a nerd that like I had extra study halls because I went to a vocational high school. So they're like shop classes. Like I had like 2 or 3 study halls a day at times. So like literally, I was such a science nerd. Like I was actually reading on, like I was looking up quantum mechanics, and I was like actually trying to understand string theory. Like I was that kind of a nerd. I would never be a scientist because I'm terrible at math.
Well, you know, Dave, I'm in a group. I got invited to a group about particle physics and quantum theory and everything because of some of the stuff I said on Twitter. Okay. Professor Charles Vreeland, I was commenting this was probably like 10 or 12 years ago. I was commenting on stuff about gravity and how gravity as a force, as a separate force, does not really exist. And I was trying to explain to people that it's a doubling of the strong nuclear force. And I was showing them like how that works and everything. Like if you have more atoms on a planet, you're going to feel that planet's going to have more gravity because there's more atoms in it. And everyone was shooting me down. They were like, "You're crazy. Gravity exists. That I can see it every day. I feel it."
Yeah.
And then Professor Charles Vreeland actually tweeted, "No, what John is trying to explain is something that probably only 5 people on the planet are ever going to even understand. He's absolutely correct." And then I got an email, and he invited me to a forum that is only with college professors and people in that scientific community, and we're actually working toward a unified field theory.
Okay.
And they're getting a Nobel Prize for this, and my name is on the Nobel Prize. And I'm going to get they said I'm going to get a plaque and a certificate that says,
you hear that, guys? Nobel laureates, Super Awesome Geek Show.
It'll say that I'm a contributor to the group that won this prize. So
awesome.
Yeah. So
Cobain. Go ahead.
So yeah. So it's like I understand a lot of stuff related to particle physics and quantum string theory and all that. Yeah. So this is right up my alley.
Cobain is mentioning one of his favorite time travel shows that got zero attention. It was called 7 Days. That was on the UPN network. It was a government project that used, they created a sphere that would travel through time, but it could only go back 7 days. They fueled it off of UFO, and they could only go back 7 days. So it was mostly used for like to try and undo like catastrophes, like national disasters. And the person that would go back, he would travel back, and he couldn't take like a wallet or anything with him because anything that he takes back, like say a piece of paper, well, if he wrote on that piece of paper, that paper was unwritten because he went back 7 days. Or the electromagnetic field of the ship that he used would fry any credit cards or anything like that. But it was actually a pretty cool show. I watched it for several seasons. Just catching up a little bit here.
I have to find that one again. I got to find that show again.
Yeah, it was on the UPN network, so I would love to think that Paramount still has it because UPN was the predecessor to CW and the WB back then.
Yeah.
And it was Paramount because they had Star Trek Voyager on there. They had a bunch of Paramount CBS type shows. I would like to think Paramount will have it at some point. It ran for like 2 seasons. It was pretty good show.
Yeah, somehow Supernatural has been running since the UPN days. That show's been on forever.
Yeah.
Yeah. It ran 15 years, and we got the new prequel series, The Winchesters.
Yeah.
Starting this fall on the CW, which is supposed to be Mary and John. So that's going to be, we'll see if that works out. But I just re-binged Supernatural.
We have the same car, except I think his. I think his
Impala.
I had a '67 Chevy Impala. So was his a '65 or a '67?
No, it was a '67 Impala sedan.
'67, yeah.
Yeah, it was a sedan.
I had the 2-door. So.
Colby says, "Finally, someone who remembers it. We got Obi-Wan in the house."
Donuts, what it do?
Yay! How you doing, man?
Just catching up a little bit here. We got Linda.
Was Geek Strong?
Linda, Darth Muzz, of course. We still got Rolando hanging in the back.
So I'm hoping with Magic, with Ray from Ghostbusters, which actually looks pretty good. He's got to be close to his 70s, right? Still looks pretty good.
Ernie's about that age right now.
Yeah,
he looks good though.
Yeah, no, he did. He did look really good, and he brought, like I said, whenever you're trying to get characters to fit in, especially when it's a reboot of something that we all know and love, because there's
76.
There's a room full of haters right now that want to shoot this show down. That want that. Oh, it's not this, it's not that. But when
Ernie is 76 years old.
76. Wow, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, I think with bringing in Ernie, you get something of a. He's not from this storyline per se, but we all know him from the Ghostbusters, from that era when when the show was still on and things like that. So it's a recognizable name, similar to say.
I'm in heaven because it's I love him from Ghostbusters, and I'm a big Quantum Leap fan, as you can hear. Like I'm saying people's full names of characters he leaped into. So
definitely,
to me, when I heard Ernie Hudson was signed on for Quantum Leap, and then I heard Magic, I was like, oh, okay. Because I'll be honest, I am not a big fan of reboots. I'll be perfectly honest. Very few reboots have actually flown off better than the originals, or just as good. I mean, we see reboots all the time, and it's just no. But this one, there's a scene where one of the analysts says that I want to tender my resignation, or you can fire me. I'll take the fall for everything that's going on. Because at first they're trying to keep hush. what Ben just did.
Yeah.
They're trying to keep that all hushed because, there's a general or someone who says, because Magic is trying to explain about a power surge that happens. Now, obviously, that was the leap.
Yeah.
And he's trying to explain it away, trying to keep everything under wraps, and they're trying to get Ben back before anything happens. So, I mean, or before anyone finds out. So, I mean, obviously there's a good support. These people aren't just coworkers, they're basically family. We see that right in the beginning at the engagement party because you have everyone there. You have Magic there. Magic's kind of like the father figure for these young people. And I already have a few theories. One, Magic could be doing this on purpose, being a part of the project on purpose, maybe because he was someone that Sam leaped into once, that maybe it's a long shot to use him as kind of a way to backtrace Sam to kind of lock onto him at some point in time. Because one time I had a crazy theory of how they could potentially bring Sam back home. What if someone Sam leaped into was at the project? And they could use maybe a vapor trail, if you will, to kind of backtrace and maybe lock onto him.
Mm-hmm.
Put that person in the chamber very much like they did with Sam and Al when Sam leaped into Al to send Al back to the imaging chamber. Maybe something like that could happen, but we'll see. I mean, there's a lot going on. Let's check out Francis puts. I figured the entire premise within the first 10 minutes. Knew it was going to be Al's daughter. Knew they were going to be cheesy about it, I bet, and we'll find out that Ben is going to try and find Sam. Well, those that don't know, the hidden person in the beginning that sends code to Ben, that's Al's daughter. What was her name? Janice, I think her name was. And we also see some security footage of someone with a naval service ring, which obviously was Al's, because they were able to match that emblem to a specific naval team that was in Vietnam, and they found that Al was among one of them. So this is Al's daughter. And we find out that Al's daughter wanted to be a part of the project, but because of her psych profile and her connection to Sam and Al, that they felt she was a bad fit to it. So either and the thing is, why would she, what kind of leverage would she have against Ben to force him to do this leap that he might not ever come back from?
I don't think it was forced.
Well,
I think because they had personal phone messages going back and forth, and she's like, the window of opportunity is closing. If you're going to do this, you got to do it now. So they had discussed some kind of window of jumping for a reason. And
I gotta say this, no matter if there was a chance to save Sam, you have a guy in his 30s. He just got engaged. Is he going to say, you know what, there's a slim chance we could bring Dr. Beckett back, or there's a very good chance that I could get lost in time. I'll never see my future wife. I'll never be able to finish any of my work again. That, I think, is, I don't know, that just seems a little iffy right there.
I don't know. It seemed perfectly plausible to me because I was like sitting there going, they clearly have been working together behind the scenes for a long time. I paused it and had to read the entire chain of text messages that was on that phone, and I was like, it was clear to me that they were working together for a long time. For what goal, I don't know, but
yeah,
I think what it came down to was, like, he didn't want to tell his fiance what their plan was or what they were going to do, and the window for jumping was closing, so he couldn't wait for him to explain everything to his wife and let his wife do the jump. He had to do it now. So, because if you would miss the window of opportunity if he sits down and goes, okay, girlfriend, wife, whatever, you got to do this because of blah 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 blah. I've been secretly working with her, blah 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 blah. 3 hours later, she finally understands what's going on and agrees to do the jump. Well, too late now that the window closed. So he has to jump instead of her because,
Well, with that, there's a lot that, I'm a little, we're all going to have our own theories on this. Let's be honest. To me, I don't see that as rational. However, let's take a look. Sam has had children before. Sammy Joe Fuller from the trilogy episodes. Okay. So he has a daughter that worked on the old project. Who's to say that she's not on there working on the new project, or maybe she's working with Janice in the background? Yeah. Okay. One theory in one of the Facebook Quantum Leap groups I threw out there as a theory, and a lot of people were like, "Whoa, how did you come up with it?" My thought was, what if Sammy Joe was, what if she was shunned by the project? And that was what prompted her to start her own project, and that actually turned into the Evil Leapers.
Oh, interesting.
That's one theory. And who's to say, now Ben is what? Let's say Ben is maybe, 33, maybe 34? Maybe in his mid-30s?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say, what if he's like maybe 36 to 37? Does anyone remember? I can't remember the exact dates. There was a news reporter that Sam leaped into in San Francisco that was doing stories about a strangler, and he worked with a ESP, fortune teller, if you will. Okay, and what if? I'm just saying, what if she was, I don't know, Ben's mother?
Yeah.
It's a far out theory, and that's what this show is going to be about, is far out theories here. The Leapcast is going to be about far out theories to see what could happen. Because, we had Sam deal with the devil.
Yeah.
We had Sam.
It was the cameraman, by the way, in the
who was the actual killer, yeah.
It was he identified him by the gloves. Yeah, going back to the Halloween episode was one of my favorites.
Oh, yeah. The Boogeyman episode, yeah.
Yeah.
And that was the one of the few times, the one time you saw Dean Stockwell actually grab Scott Bakula physically. But who knows? That could be a possibility. Who's to say that that fortune teller, that psychic didn't, remarry under the name Song and had a son as a result? We don't know. Might explain why he's pretty smart. Because, they even said that Sammy Joe had an IQ just like her father. And she eventually, after Sam fixing everything, she wound up working for Project Quantum Leap, working on a theory to bring Sam home. So there's a lot. There's a lot that we can see happen. Now, we talked about the hologram of Scott Bakula. Seeing him, seeing his image, that was definitely a great throwback for us. We also see an image of Dean Stockwell from the original show in his all white, Admiral uniform.
Admiral Calavici uniform, yeah. From his Congress.
It was, I'm glad that they threw those images up so we get that. But I still get a little hinky kind of feeling about his daughter. Is she actually working to help the project, or is she doing something else? Sure, it's very realistic that her father said, "I want you to do whatever you can to bring Sam home." I could definitely see that. That's very, that's definitely something that can happen. We got Rogue Demon in the house. We got, catch up on a few others. Rogue Demon collects. We got collecting Star Wars. We're just talking about the new Quantum Leap. So if any of you guys have not seen it, please pause the stream. Go ahead and check it out on Peacock or the NBC app separately. So if you don't have the Peacock service, you can watch it there. We're discussing anything and everything about the new episode.
Or come over to my house. I got all 5 seasons
of the new series.
Right. I'm episode 1 of the new one.
He's got it on bootleg for about $5.99.
Yeah, wasn't this episode in 1985?
Yeah, this was 1985. In fact, we get the next one is Atlantis, because at the end of this show, we see him leap into a space shuttle as it's taking off.
Yeah, yeah.
So this is the first time we're seeing a leaper go into space.
Yeah.
Are we though? Because I kind of had to rewind it a little bit. To me, it looked like he might be in a simulation. You know, the chimpanzee episode kind of
the chimpanzee one was yeah, but he didn't actually go into space in that one. But yeah, I get what you're saying. But no, I've seen some pictures where it actually shows, actually being in space. The shuttle Atlantis. I'm glad they didn't do Challenger, because that would be a little questionable. I think.
Yeah.
Would be a very short episode.
It's gonna blow up.
Yeah. But I mean, it's gonna be interesting. I like the low-key leap in that he did. It's gonna be interesting to see how they do things moving forward. Now I saw the trailer. Now this trailer is not officially out anywhere yet. I haven't been able to find it. There's a trailer that actually shows the next, what's going to be happening throughout the rest of the season.
Yeah.
The rules of Quantum Leap, for anyone who's still watching, the rules of Quantum Leap are out the damn window. There are no more rules.
It looked like he went to the Old West at one point too.
Yeah. Basically, they said that he's going to be leaping outside of his own timeline. Now, me and John, we were talking about this before the show. There is examples of this happening, but there were certain rules surrounding it. Sam leaped it. He used the accelerator to leap into 1945 to save Al, to send Al back, but that was because they simul leaped and were merged.
Which was in his own life, Al's own lifetime, the 45.
Yeah.
Then there was one when Sam leaped into the Civil War.
But he leaped
into Captain Samuel Beckett, which was his great grandfather, I think it was.
Yeah, it was within his family bloodline.
His DNA, basically, his genetic code. But I think that's part of the coding that was added, is that he's no longer bound to his lifetime anymore. Yeah. I think that's part of the coding that was uploaded, is that he's going to be traveling throughout different points in time, but that also Janice's I think it's Janice's programming with his, but I think that's a way of, well, I mean, come on, if you get lost, what are you going to do? You're going to circle around and maybe keep like a search pattern. You start in the center and then you start swirling outwards and outwards and outwards to try and get your bearings, right? So who's to say that that's not what they're trying to do with time travel? That to try and find Sam Beckett, if he's still alive, and, well, let's be honest, he better be. We all want to see that. Excuse me, guys. That we want, I mean, that could be that doing that kind of jumping around throughout his whole lifetime, maybe that helps find where Sam is, because let's be honest, Sam is leaping from 53 onwards.
Yeah. Okay.
Then let's say maybe he was born around 83, 84, 85 maybe. So he, there's a lot of decades that he can't leap through.
Yeah.
Okay. There's I guess there's a scene where there's a clip I saw where he leaps into the 70s. Well, that wouldn't be possible because he wouldn't have been born yet. I was born in 78. So, it's going to be interesting because we see a scene of him in the Old West. I mean, it'd be interesting to see like what other times are he going to leap into? Are we going to get some medieval leaping? Are we going to get 1920s?
Well, the other thing too is the other thing also that was interesting is in the old show there was at least one time where Sam jumped into the future, like he jumped into 1999. Do you remember that? But the show
was the present for them.
Oh, that was the present for them. Okay, because I thought that they said that they were in like 1990. What was it, 1994 or 1994?
Sam leaped
on a floating scale where they moved with them as.
Okay. So as the seasons went on, it was a year by
Sam
year.
leaped. Okay. Sam's first leap took place during 1995.
Yeah. Okay.
The original show aired in 1989, but they wanted to set it a few years.
By the time they got to the 5th season, it was 1999. I got you.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Yep.
So okay. I mean, there is that. I mean, but now I know there's a lot of haters out there right now on social media talking about, oh, Scott Bakula says he doesn't want to do this. No, a lot of those interviews are happening from quite simply because he was recording a pilot for a new series he was going to do, but the pilot was not picked up at the time. So right now there is open talk, and I hear that from interviews I've read recently, Ernie Hudson says the door is open for Scott to come back. But also, I think Scott, for the sake of Quantum Leap, because it was such a big part of his life, he doesn't want it to be like, oh, I'm going to make an appearance and this is going to drive the ratings. Then when I leave, it's just going to kind of drag again. I think he wants to see the show kind of get on its own feet first. Or at least that would be my hope.
Because I was going to ask that because I had heard when before this show even started that he was in like the casting call, like they actually have him cast for later in the season, but they don't exactly know how they're going to use him yet or where. But then I saw a Twitter message from him saying that he actually turned down, they did approach him, but he turned down the role. Like he said on Twitter, like I think it was September 15th, he actually said on Twitter that he turned the role down and he will not be appearing in the show.
Well, said, you know what?
He said no. So I'm like, well, then why is he in the? Why are other people reporting he's in the casting call and the show just hasn't determined when they want to push him in?
One, as far as I understand, Scott Bakula has no connection with the show presently. Okay. Here's one thing. I can see how apprehensive he is about it because let's face it, his best friend died this past year in 2021, Dean Stockwell, and it would. From his perspective, one, it would probably be pretty damn weird for him going back to Quantum Leap without Dean, for one. Two, since Quantum Leap, he did a few movies. He did a couple of like TV movies. He did Necessary Roughness. And of course, he did NCIS New Orleans. He just got finished with that show.
Yeah, I'm glad it's
over.
So
maybe he doesn't want to be tied down to a series right now. So I'm sure... One, we don't want it to be like, oh, they find Sam within the first 5 episodes or within the first season.
Yeah.
But
I hope they drop hints and they build it up like a thing.
Well, they're definitely doing it right from the start of the show, where they acknowledge that it is the same universe where Sam Beckett did it. You know, he does exist. We may not have him now, but he does exist. That's pretty much what they're kind of trying to tell you in the first episode.
Because I also thought if they showed his likeness on that hologram, that Sam would have had to sign off. It's okay to use my likeness. You know,
not necessarily. If they were NBC promo shots from the show, they can use whatever imaging they did. They want to, just like they use the Dean Stockwell image of him in his admiral uniform, because that photo where you see that image, the hologram of Scott Bakula, is him with a white T-shirt and his leather coat. Look at. I was about to say, Wolfpack. You can pull up 1 or 2 of those DVDs. Yeah. And it's very similar.
Yeah,
so
definitely promo.
There was a lot of promo shots that they did where it was him wearing that white shirt with his leather coat. So I mean, but also, I mean, one, you gotta think, he may be tired from doing series for a while. I mean, it would be cool if we get like maybe a near miss. Like after maybe
that's what I mean,
like Ben's leaping and you hear someone in the background say, "Oh boy." Maybe it's an older gentleman. You don't see their face, but you hear an "oh boy." Maybe like he just missed him.
Or what what would be very interesting is if he jumps into like an older version of someone that Sam had jumped into. You know what I mean? And bring back some of the people from the original show, but like that weren't, big names at the time or something, but they're still alive. They can get that actor back, and
what if Ben leaped into magic a second time? Like maybe magic during the 70s or 80s.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
What if Ben leaps into Sam's brother at the same time as Sam has leaped into magic?
That would be interesting.
That would be interesting.
I mean, because I mean, what if what if we find out that Magic actually recruited Ben, and that would be a good explanation as how that happens.
Yeah,
because he retained the knowledge of the name Ben Song, and like, wait a minute, and he comes across a young scientist named Ben Song. Okay, yeah, I need this. I need him for the future. Kind of like Bill and Ted rules. If you're gonna win a battle, you kind of have to set things up. And you have to make sure things happen. So it's gonna be interesting. Now, Scott Bakula is only 67, actually, so he's actually pretty younger than Ernie.
Yeah,
but I'm excited to see what's gonna. I mean, I like that we're seeing both the future and the past.
Yeah,
which we almost never saw in the original series.
Well, that was kind of one of the things that, like, when you were saying that you wanted to see more of the setup, like, I was actually fine with this because we got way more of a setup in this episode than we ever did in the first show.
Oh yeah,
and for me, this is like, I hope they don't do a lot every episode with the present day stuff and the project, because the point of the show, its name is Quantum Leap. So the point of the show is for him to be leaping into the past. So I want to see a lot more of the past, with a little bit each episode telling us more about the present and the sprinkle it in, and
I want to say hello to Fabulous Disaster and Speedo and Greedo. Thank you guys for popping in.
Because otherwise it's not a Quantum Leap show, it's a future show about like the project. It's like, I don't know. I
know that Don Belisario was not a big fan of the Evil Leapers, but I want to see something to happen with that, because one, like you talk, John was talking earlier about the excuse me, about the window of opportunity in getting him back. That was something we heard a lot of in the Evil Leaper episodes, because there's an evil project. Those that didn't follow the show that in depth, there's an evil project that did the opposite of what Sam did. They leaped through time to make things worse. They were literally an evil project. They leaped through time to make things worse. And their supercomputer, Lothos, had control, supposedly, or at least that's what they told their leaper, Aaliyah, that, he controls the leaps. Do you want to go back to doing all these lower level leaps or not? You have to do this. You have to kill Sam Beckett. There was this whole thing about that. So, I mean, and they talked about the window of opportunity. That's an exact term that they use. So, I mean, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I would like to see that, because, wouldn't that be a big monkey wrench for Ben to suddenly come across an evil leaper? But would they have any background information on that? Because if nobody from the original project is there, would they still have files? So
the other thing I wondered was not only just the evil leapers, but in the final episode of the original series, you saw another good leaper. Actually, Sam witnessed him leap. So
Stopa, which was Steve in Russian, that turned out to be Al's uncle.
Yeah. So what I would find interesting is, if Ben doesn't necessarily run across an evil leaper, what if he runs across just another leaper, another good leaper? You know what I mean? Like, so having multiple leapers, whether they're good or bad, just opens up the doors for so much potential.
Well, that's another thing that the new show didn't touch on, that the original did, was they kind of always affirmed that there was a higher power that was controlling it. Like they were always trying to get them back in present day Quantum Leap, but there was always some higher power that was making it happen.
God, fate, time, or whoever is out there. That's how they used to word it.
Whether it was an alien, fate, time itself, or God, they never really put forth what it really was.
In the final episode that bartender Al did, he said, "Look in the mirror," and Sam said, "No." He says, "No way." He's like, "Why did you start Project Quantum Leap?" "I wanted to travel through time." "Why did you want to travel through time?" "I wanted to make things better." "Well, haven't you?" So it was more like his subconscious was doing it to him the entire time. Because, and I could see the reasoning for that in the original show, because Sam had so much guilt. His sister had failed marriages. His brother died in Vietnam, and he was powerless to stop him from doing so. His dad was a heavy chain smoker and died. Sam had a lot of guilt. A lot of internal guilt as far as family. And I can see that, your subconscious builds you up to where, Al always called him the Boy Scout. Always referred to him as a Boy Scout. And it's, I can see that. We don't really know a whole lot about Ben, and obviously I'm hoping we do over time. It's going to be, I'll say this. We'll see how they progress with like the leaping effects and all the I kind of miss the old holographic door to the imaging chamber. I miss the old door, but it is.
Well, she did during the explosion. She was able to do her own kind of teleporting, but it was pretty much she just powered down. There wasn't.
Yeah, she kind of faded out. Yeah.
And I like that they showed inside the imaging chamber. You saw like him fading out, and then you saw each separate hologram kind of like breaking down into nothing. I mean, I liked a lot of the effects. Now I'm going to ask you guys, what are your theories for this season? Or should I say, maybe not theories, but what are something you want to see from the new Quantum Leap this season?
I'm going to say just to keep fans happy, just to keep us on the right path. Just sprinkle Easter eggs, like you said, with maybe he just missed him in a leap, or you hear an oh boy. One of the things that with Marvel, with their own CGI is, and NBC was always good with the original Quantum Leap, throwing in file footage of things, right? Why can't they redo that now? Throw Ben in to
they can do so much, and it wouldn't just be file footage. They can HD that like there's no tomorrow. Let's be honest. Like the Watts riots. JFK, when he leaped into Oswald, then he leaps into one of the Secret Service agents, and they saved Jackie.
Yeah.
In the original history, they didn't.
Well, and I liked the cool. What I want to see is I liked cool stuff in the old one, like the kid in that one Halloween type episode where he was.
Oh yeah.
With the writer, and the kid was Stephen King.
Stevie King, yes.
Yes.
Now,
and the Marilyn Monroe episode, I liked those kind of things.
Well, the first three, that's what I'm getting to. First three seasons, they called it Kisses with History.
Yeah, exactly.
Where they would have little sprinkles, like where it was like maybe like the one that Wolfpack just mentioned, where it was what was it, the Kamikaze Kid? I think the episode was called, where he leaped into a teenager that drove like a little Etzel. His sister was about to marry a real nozzle, a real idiot, and they did this. But at the wedding rehearsal dinner, he's talking to Al, and then he sees this little kid in like maybe not a tuxedo, but like a nice suit, like he was performing somewhere. And when we say kid, we're talking like maybe 6 or 8 years old, maybe. And he looks at him, and Sam starts doing little Michael Jackson moves, and the kid starts mimicking it. And then you hear some other kids on the other side of the door say, "Come on, Michael." It was Michael Jackson, so Sam taught Michael Jackson that. Or Good Morning Peoria. They actually had Chubby Checker on there, and he taught Chubby Checker the twist. They did these little, kind of shining it on, like, hey, little sprinkles, little kisses with history. Years ago, I actually had an anthology of Quantum Leap, and they would feature the kiss with history in each episode. So, I mean, that would be cool to kind of get that kind of stuff back. Like they had Buddy Holly. He, teaches.
Yeah, I was going to say, was it Buddy Holly? And
he meets a young Buddy Holly who's singing Peggy Sue. He was like, "Try Peggy."
Try Peggy.
And he starts, it was those.
What about Sam's run-in with Dr. Heimlich? Anyone remember that one? Helps him invent the Heimlich maneuver.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yes. Yeah.
I mean, Sam leaped into everyday people that were unknown, but he also leaped into some celebrities. He leaped into Elvis. We mentioned Lee Harvey Oswald.
Yeah.
He leaped into Marilyn Monroe's bodyguard / driver.
Yeah.
I mean, he leaped into so many people. He leaped into Dr. Ruth Westheimer.
Yeah.
That those, some of the youngins who might be watching this, Dr. Ruth was a well-known psychologist and sex educational therapist, if you will, back in the 80s, where, she was a short, old woman, but she would flat out talk about sex with people, making people more comfortable.
Yeah, the reason she was really famous was because she was probably the first one of those psychologists to openly talk about it on the air.
Like it was, like it was like how to get a stain out of your shirt. I mean, she was just talking about it like it was nothing.
Yeah.
But I mean, personally, I want to see those kisses of history come back.
I do.
That would be great.
I think that's kind of the Belisario touch. I'd like to say. I think Belisario that final season he didn't have as big of as control.
Yeah, because I think NBC was kind of like reining it in. Plus, in the 90s, he was also working on JAG.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually, in the later years, in 2000s, getting towards NCIS and all that other stuff. But maybe we'll finally get the one episode we never got. There was supposed to be an episode that Don Belisario wanted to do of Sam leaping into Magnum PI.
Huh.
It's very infamous and it's hard to find, but they even shot a promo, like a promotion picture of him wearing the Magnum PI shirt.
Wow.
It was kind of hilarious, but I mean,
that show's done now too, though, isn't it? The new Magnum PI is.
I never watched the reboot. I'm sorry. There's only going to be one Magnum.
I watched the pilot. That was good.
There's only going to be one Magnum for me. That's Tom Selleck. But
well, I was going to say if it was still going on, he'd have to leap into the current Magnum PI. That's what they would do because they would want some kind of crossover television to build ratings on both shows.
Crossover, though. That would probably be a good crossover. Two reboots. I don't see why you wouldn't cross them over just a hair.
Well, I mean, as a show creator, because he's the creator of the show, he probably could.
Because they do that stuff all the time. Like right now, what is it? Next week there's going to be a big...
even though it's two networks, because it's CBS and NBC. Crossover. Yeah, well, that's all the same network, so it's very easy for them to do that.
Yeah.
So. But outside of the kisses with history, I want to see, personally, I think I want to see, like what Wolfpack mentioned before, like, maybe leaping into people Sam's leaped into before.
Yeah.
Like, what if part of that program, part of that computer code that was uploaded was maybe a tracking list of people Sam leaped into, and what if Ben leaps back into their lives, maybe not as the person he leaped into, but maybe someone that had an effect within that life.
Yeah.
As kind of a...
Like, what if he goes back and sees Jimmy and Frank, but instead of jumping into Jimmy, he jumps into Frank,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or what if we get Aaliyah? He runs into Aaliyah somewhere.
Yeah.
She was the evil leaper who was freed, but her fate, she was shot with a shotgun, but then she leaped.
Yep.
But we never knew if she died or not. All Al said was, all we know is wherever she is, she's free. That's all we know. And since we know that
we don't even know if she continued. We don't know if she continued to leap or if she made it back to her home or what. Yeah, we don't know.
Well, based on what you said, John, based on what you said, about dead spirits who leap through time, because we have seen that through the original series, that Aaliyah, maybe after she did die, she became one of those kind of celestial angelic leapers.
Yeah.
Like we saw with Stopa in the last episode of the original Quantum Leap. So we could see, maybe she is out there trying to help people. So I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I want them to continue the mythology, but also I want to maybe explore some of these people who are part of the project. I mean, it's going to be interesting. Why were these people picked? Especially if Janice Calavici wasn't picked because of her psych profile, but all these other people were.
Well, and they alluded to something because the security girl was like, you were the only one who would give me a second chance. So if I have to go down for this project, I will take the bullet for it because of what you did for me. If she looked at it as returning the favor. So what the heck happened in her past to where no one would hire her?
Now here's a good one
where he was the only one who would give her a second chance. So there's got to be something with that. They're going to have to explain that at some point.
Now here's a good one. Zenith of the Alpha America put, what if Ben Song leaps into the body of Sam Beckett or Al? You know, he could leap into a younger Sam. Maybe when Sam was first
before Sam jumped, yeah.
Well, what if he leaped into Sam and he tried to make changes while Sam and Al were creating Project Quantum Leap?
Yeah.
Because in the original series, we heard references like the Man of La Mancha episode. You know, where Sam says when him and Al were programming Ziggy, they uploaded a bunch of music into Ziggy's databanks. One of them was Man of La Mancha. So, I mean, who's to say we don't get something, maybe the early beginnings of Project Quantum Leap, the original project?
Definitely fan service right there.
Yeah, I mean,
and it doesn't even have to take up the entire storyline of the episode. Just vaguely.
No, yeah.
Or
they could sprinkle that stuff in through a few episodes. It doesn't have, like I'm saying, it doesn't have to be.
And we've had Sam leap into Al before, young Al.
Mm-hmm.
Where he was actually.
Al always had a ton of stories. So it'd be nice to kind of see if that would ever happen. I would say Ben would. The best bit would be for Ben to leap into Al because he had so many of these stories when from his old military days and from just
bingo bango bongo. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. He zigged and he zagged.
Yeah, but there's a lot of untapped stories from the original series. Now, did you guys ever find it weird that Sam always leaped within the United States for the most part?
Yeah.
You know, he leaped into Vietnam. When he was leaping into Oswald, he would leap in. It was leaping into Russia a few times.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
But outside of that, it was always continental U.S. I would like to see Ben leaping across the entire world, because I think that opens up more story, more history we get to play with.
Yeah.
I think that would open up a lot more. Plus, it actually adds a little bit more conflict because remember the original project pulled from its own databanks, from newspaper articles. So now, if you're dealing with other countries, you're trying to get newspaper articles from those other countries. You got less information to go on. Maybe it adds a little bit more drama.
Yeah. Well, the other thing I was wondering too is if they're going to swing open the doors to the past, what if you leap to the future? That's what I was trying to ask. Like, did Sam really leap? When I was asking about 1999,
Sam never leaps beyond his lifetime, so the cutoff was 1999.
Yeah, that's why I was asking. Yeah, that's why I was asking that, because I was under the impression that he had jumped 4 or 5 years into the future to 1999, and then you guys explained that that was supposed to.
No, it was he started in 1995.
But I was saying, but now with this show, if the rules are broken, and Ben can go all the way back to like the Wild West or medieval times or whatever you want, can the other side be broken and now he can leap to like an ancestor in the future? You know what I mean? Like someone that would be.
Based on the original rule, there's nothing that says Sam couldn't leap into Sammy Joe.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm trying to get at. Like somewhere in the future of his line. I guess if Ben never makes it back home now, I guess it would have to be that like they'd have to reveal somewhere down the road that she's pregnant with his kid, and they never said anything until she starts showing signs of it. And then
they have a season to kind of plan ahead if they want to go down that storyline, right? Or should we say 9 months?
Yeah, right.
We're still only season 1, but there's definitely so much speculation, so many Easter eggs. Like I think that the evil leapers, bringing in the evil leapers so early into season 1, you kind of handcuff yourself. I like the idea of teasing it.
I'm not saying season 1, but like maybe in a season 2 or so. Like don't give yourself a major big bad in season 1.
Yeah, you don't.
But
have
there's
to
definitely
do
an air of mystery. But what if like either Janice is so bright that she did the programming herself, or what if she had contact with the evil project and she got some of that coding from them? I mean, maybe that's what's causing Ziggy to crash at times. There's a lot of different theories out there.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see what really happens. But like the whole
leaping into Sam, or what if they take some archival footage from the original series and you see Ben leaping into, one of the other people or not one of the other people, but maybe a situation like Wolfpack was saying about, they want that kind of like that fan service, like that slight miss of, someone says, oh boy, or something like that, like we mentioned. What if it's like, like the All-American episode when they where he played the high school football player, and his best friend's dad had a thing for the mother. They wind up happily ever after. Well, if he leaps in at like moments, like he leaps in and he's one of the bystanders, the fans in the stands or something. They see, you see the scene of Sam doing the "Go Jaguars" scene. It'd be cool if we got like a little kind of like a kiss with the old show.
Yeah,
maybe not necessarily see Scott Bakula, but we could see like, wait a minute, there's certain old school fans are going to recognize a certain scene. But I mean, it's
we
the
did
fact that he's going to the Old West.
Speaking of football, we did see a shot of Joe Montana in that one scene.
Yeah.
So he is going to he is going to have a kiss with someone from history,
Listen, as long as he doesn't leap into to Josh Allen, I'm good.
Yeah. I like the inclusion of the 80s music or era appropriate music. I was watching the Cars. I'm a big car guy, so I was like, I better not see something from 87 in here.
Yeah.
Like that. But
I mean, definitely the music was vibing. The music had me vibing in the episode, especially as an 80s kid. So I'm growing up in the 80s, because the original show, we didn't always hear regular music, because when they released certain DVDs, certain copies of the DVDs, they didn't have the original music featured in there because there was a lot of copyright issues.
Yeah.
But now copyright is a little bit differently now. So, as long as they keep the music accurate, like you said, with the TV, the Cars, they got to keep everything era correct. Now, 1985, to see those cop cars, those Chevy Caprices from the 80s, because my grandfather had one of those. I'm like, and they looked fantastic, man. They kept up with those cars, man.
And you noticed in the chasing they did not wreck them. Which if it had been 1985,
that was a little. Yeah, that was a little like obviously NBC, they got the money, but like, you probably had to deal with the actual impounder.
Private owner.
That like, hey, you can use these, but you damage it, you bought it.
Yeah.
And I can only imagine,
What's funny is my father's my father has one of his best friends, are a friend of the family, Bob Cole. That's one of the things that he does. His whole life he was an auto repair guy. He had his own shop and everything. But he's owned so many old cars that he actually owns a specific type of I don't know, this red old car, but there's only like 100 or 200 of them left in the world, and he gets called a lot to use his car in movies and television shows, and he gets paid to deliver cars to them for movies and TV, and because he's got all these really cool old cars that fit a certain era, and they want a certain look for that when that era comes up in a TV show.
By the way, I have to announce, this stream has officially made it. We had bots in the chat.
Yeah.
We had bots in the chat.
Oh, we do. Yep. There we are. AI dating bots. Yeah.
Yep. Thank you too, because practically everyone in the chat is a mod. So thank you, the many mods we have. So thank you guys for that. Gotta love the bots, right? But that's when you know a stream is official tissue right there.
But yeah, what I'm getting at is they will never crash his cars because they need to give them back to him. So yeah, that's why that's probably why they didn't crash those cop cars.
Well, I'm sure there's special insurance for those types of cars too, like movie and TV shows. Like if you own that car yourself, it might have a blue book value of what, maybe $5,000, maybe. but you have it where it's used in movies and TV shows. You get a higher insurance. So
well,
Blue Sasquatch. Thank you for that.
A lot of cars from the 60s are like 60s, 70s, sometimes into the early 80s now.
You got Vagon in chat. Thank you for stopping through.
If they're original and really nice shape, they're all $100,000 or more. Look at the Mecum auctions. Just watch them. You'll see cars that you had as a kid or your neighbor had, and they're selling for $100,000 to $300,000, and you're going, holy crap. Yeah. And so I know a couple of the cars that he owns, that he loans out to TV and movies, they are worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. So that's why they won't crash them, because they're also one of, like I said, there's one car that he has. I think there's only like 100 of them left in the world, and Bob Cole has one. Our friend.
Now, one thing I think is going to be interesting is with it being so recent, Ben's lifetime, let's say from the mid 80s, we can at least say 85.
Yeah.
So with at least saying that's from 85 on, there's still a lot of newscasters that are still around from that time frame. So who knows? You could get some custom news editorials.
Yeah, there you go.
A little bit of de-aging, and we can get some interesting alternate timelines with from the trailers I've seen, we see Ben in like military Middle Eastern fatigues.
He bumps into Anderson
about
Cooper.
to do a Halo drop. So I mean, so we're gonna see like Desert Storm, or we're gonna see some stuff like that. I think NBC should tread lightly as to any kind of larger, bigger world storylines. Like, I don't want them to necessarily touch 9/11 directly, but maybe something
maybe by season 3. Just throw it out there. You kind of build up to, well, not so much build up to it, but let us know it's for real. You can't just throw something. 9/11 is still today, still a tough subject.
But what I'm getting at is, if you're going to do anything involving 9/11, maybe make it so that there's a family member or like a small family that was affected. Don't make it like, oh, Ben's mission is to try and stop 9/11. Don't try. No, that's because I can see NBC trying to bite more than they can chew. I mean, and here's one reason why I throw something a big like that. In the original Quantum Leap, they often, there was an episode or two where the congressional committee wanted bigger actions. They wanted proof that Sam was back there in time. They wanted him to get the fiance that he leaped into, to get his fiance to call her father, who was a congressperson, to stop this from happening, the U2 bombing or something. They wanted to do something world-shattering.
The plane that was going to get shot down. They wanted to stop that.
But inadvertently, by the end of that episode, time was changed to the point where she was now in the congressional committee, and they got funding for the next year. But that's one thing that worries me is, okay, if the project was abandoned and now it's reopened and it's purely being run by the government, are they going to want some world shattering? Are they going to want those kinds of larger storylines to be something that they work in the episodes? And I think that's going to be a big mistake, because part of the core of the original show was it was a sci-fi show without being a sci-fi show.
Yeah.
I mean, the only sci-fi thing we got was Al could walk through things. He was, kids and animals could see him, but nobody else could.
Unless they were mentally.
Outside of that, Sam didn't have any superpowers. He didn't have no gadgets.
Sam.
He was just a regular human being who happened to travel through time, and he was trying to help people. If somebody cuts him, that was him. His bleeding. That was him bleeding. There's certain things like that. I mean, I don't want them to bite too much, because like I've seen reboots like the Knight Rider reboot that was in the early 2000s, 2008, 2009. I enjoyed it, but they tried to do too much at first.
Yeah.
I don't want Quantum Leap to do too much. With what they're doing right now, I think it's good. But give us more sprinkles of information little by little, and I think that's going to keep the show going for a while.
Guys, what are two things that you could not necessarily change but tweak to fit something better for your liking?
I mean, I personally liked the show how it was. I didn't have any issue with the show. I thought this episode was great. I didn't see a reason to change anything, you know.
I mean, the only thing I want a little bit more background information, like how Magic got involved with the project. Now when Magic said a few lines in this episode that makes me kind of give me those theories, like maybe was Al the one who kind of might have recruited him or chose him to be part of the project. You know, is that a possibility? Because at one point they see the picture of Al in his Navy, his Admiral uniform, and they list him as Al Calvici, and he says about Sam and Al. Why would, if he wasn't familiar with them, why would he reference them as Sam and Al per se? You know, especially military person, he might have referred to them as, you know, Dr. Beckett and Admiral Calvici. So that suggests to me that there's a personal connection there. So I would like to get a little bit more, but I get that this was a 1 hour episode. They kind of they threw a bunch in. I mean, the bad guys, and I mean, everything seemed pretty cool. I want to see where it's going to go. And after seeing that trailer where we see him leaping into what looks like the Old West, we saw something similar on the original show, but it wasn't the Old West. It was just a Wild West shootout recreation tourist attraction. Yeah. So who knows? Maybe that's the little falsehood. You know, that's a little like, hey, the rules have changed. He's going to be leaping out of his timeline. We get an image of the Old West, but maybe it's not the Old West. You know, who knows? Maybe he's really leaping on set to Westworld on HBO or something. I don't know.
The Gunsmoke set that's still at Universal. When you take the tram ride, you can see the old Gunsmoke set.
Now, Ferris, not Team Knight Rider. That was early. That was 99, early 98, 99. There was a Knight Rider reboot that appeared in 2010 on NBC, which was a continuation. It was Michael Knight's son.
It turned into a truck. It was a Mustang, a truck, and didn't it actually turn into a boat at one time too? Like it could transform.
No, you might be thinking of Thunder in Paradise with Hulk Hogan.
Yeah,
but no, the Knight Rider show, the Mustang had like nano skin so it could repair itself and all this other stuff. It was voiced by Val Kilmer. It was actually a 2008 KR 500. It was a very nice Shelby Cobra of a Mustang, but. Yeah, it's just the writing on there.
To a true fan though, switching it from the Camaro to a Mustang, it kind of. And we were just 2 years removed, or 2 years down the line from the Camaros coming back. So if they would have just waited patiently.
Yeah, and you could do a Camaro because
I always said the problem is that
it was a Trans Am originally. It was a Trans Am, and they used Trans Am and Firebirds actually for a lot of the bodies. They just altered the shells a little bit, but yeah, you could do a Camaro because look at some of the Camaros that came out a couple of years afterwards. It's pretty much the same kind of frame and profile.
Yeah,
but
I always say like you can't do a car like KITT today because we all have KITT. Well, maybe you guys don't, but a lot of people have KITT in their driveway right now. There's a car that drives itself. It talks. You know what I mean? It does everything KITT does.
Well, I was watching
in everyone's driveway, so it's nothing special. Where when
I was watching a news article about that, where it talked about how KITT was a smart car. It was a smart car before we had it. The watch, was like an Apple Watch where you can talk into it. Which really was a throwback to Dick Tracy.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
So I mean, but the laser restraint system, Ferris says, but I mean, we got Vern.
I guess we don't really have the laser restraint system, but yeah, you're right.
Vern is here. What I missed? Can we start over?
Yeah, we'll start all over, Vern.
Yeah, just Vern, if you could just leap back to the beginning of the stream, that'd be great. But I mean, as far as I'm someone that craves background information. In my early 2000s and even in my high school days, I used to write a lot of stories, so that's why I'm craving a lot of background information on this. Like, I want to know how magic is involved. Like, how did he? I'm curious. I just want to know. Does he remember Sam?
The original series? How'd you get through a lot of shows when you were young? If you want back, there's no show in the 80s had background information.
Guys, I'm gonna go grab a charger real quick.
Go right ahead.
Yeah. I mean, we never found out about the A-Team either. They were just always.
Vern says, "Did you mention the acting in Quantum Leap was awful?"
Well,
the acting in Quantum Leap was way better. I wouldn't say it's awful. Was it Oscar worthy? Dean Stockwell and Scott Bakula were. They were definitely Emmy worthy. But Vern, the acting in the original Quantum Leap was way better than She-Hulk. There, I said it.
It's television. like I don't know. Like, my brother had a lot of negative comments about this new show. And I was like, but it's like, he was like, it's not any better than like Law and Order NCIS or like, he was like Magnum PI, Hawaii Five-0. And I was like, yeah, it's television. You know what I mean? Like, it's all those shows are the same quality because they're all this quality of television show. You know what I mean? So you can't expect this. He expected it to be like movie quality, and I'm going, it's not like,
it's not Netflix. It's not, it's not HBO Max. We're not going to get that.
Yeah. So, but I was like, but for me, it was the good. I mean, like, I like shows like NCIS and Hawaii Five-0 and you know what I mean? So I'm okay with this TV quality type of show,
Yeah, Vern says not movie quality, but better than Netflix. But I mean, let's take a look back at the accelerator chamber. I mean, that in itself was pretty damn amazing.
I thought it was good.
I mean, that's our accelerator chamber now.
Did they build a volume and put it on like are they also using a volume, or did they actually like just it's just a background on a green screen?
I'm sure this is like totally Star Wars Disney Plus, where this is all virtual.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's the only way they're going to be able to do that. I mean, this has to be all virtual.
The round thing in the center was actually obviously there because he steps up on.
And here's the original chamber, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, they're definitely stepped it up.
But it's total green screen. Total.
Yeah.
But this room looks like it exists. I mean, they touched all the panels and the tables and the computer terminals and everything. So
here you go for Rolando. He did this just for Vern. What if Quantum Leap did a head swap?
Yeah.
I think we're getting ahead of ourselves. I don't think we'll get a Bed Song action figure. unless it's going to be the new HasLab next year. God. Enough about that.
I was going to send you.
But yeah, I mean, I'm dying to find out the connections of the characters so we can kind of see more into the characters. Like the head programmer, Ian. We know that this person is kind of a music snob and kind of is type of person that wants to, expects to have things their way, feels a little entitled, but obviously you got to have that for the brilliant scientist that's going to fix everything. Let's be honest, no matter what movies or TV shows, we're always talking about, geniuses or people who are, super bright. They're always a little bit, you always feel a little bit entitled. Like, was it Sheldon from Big Bang?
Yeah.
Those types of characters, they're always kind of full of themselves.
Malcolm in the middle. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I expect to see some of that. Addison, from what I've read, and obviously from what we saw, Addison said she was supposed to be the Leaper.
Yep.
So that begs the question: does she have a military background?
Yeah, definitely going forward. You would think she was a lot more tactical with the showing him the stick shift, and just
well that, and also if you look at how she's not dressed very feminine at all.
That's true. Yeah.
So I mean, this is what I mean. I'm not sexist or anything, but like if I imagine someone who is career military, but they're kind of dressing casual. This might be what I might imagine someone dressing as,
Yeah. Well, and that actually brings up another thing too. What if, I mean, they never did this in the original show, but it was like, why didn't they ever try to send someone else through to find him? Like, what if in the new
said
show,
it was abandoned.
No, but what I mean is, even during the time when Al and Sam were working in that 5-year range, like, why not send someone else through that you can latch onto to find Sam, grab onto Sam, and you pull both back?
Well,
like they could do that with this new show. They could try it anyway.
In the original series, and when Sam leaps back with the Simo leap with Al, he told his wife Donna, "I've uploaded the retrieval program," and Ziggy says it's like 11 point something odd % successful. So if they can't, especially if it's government-run project, are they going to risk someone unless they have maybe a 70 or 80% chance, realistically speaking?
Yeah, but they said they were already working on and trying to write the retrieval program, and Sam prematurely jumped through. So they could always say 2 or 3 seasons down the road, we fixed that, we finished the retrieval program, but we can't latch on to Ben, so someone else has to jump through to grab Ben, and then both of you are going to get.
That's going to be interesting, and I'll throw this out there. Okay, as far as bringing Ben back, and if we get to the point where they have, obviously Ian runs simulations all the time. That if that's the case, I could see maybe 2 or 3 seasons down the line that it would be magic to risk his life. I could easily see that.
Gotcha.
Either that or Addison. Those are going to be the 2 people I'm going to say that would.
The fiance, would jump to try to.
Yeah, but here's the thing: would she risk leaping back and having no contact with Ben, or would she rather stay as an observer and at least have some contact with him? That's going to be kind of the decision. You're going to have to weigh pluses and minuses, pros and cons with that. But I could see magic doing it, because at least from my perspective, I get kind of like, like at the party, he was kind of like a father. I got that kind of father figure vibe off of him.
Yeah, war veteran, all kinds
of
stuff.
Given the past he has with Sam and Al, at least as far as we know, being part of the project, being someone that Sam leaped into, I could see, like if it's a situation where, let's say, Ben is knocked out, or he's badly wounded, he can't do something, he's going to die. I could see magic just saying, because like if you're a big military movie person, I think Patton had said it once, to never ask a soldier to do something that you're not willing to do yourself. I think there's some lines similar to that.
Yeah.
So him being former military, I can't see him saying, allowing Addison to risk herself, whereas he can risk himself instead.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if there is a good chance, let's say a 70 or 80% chance, maybe he says that's good enough for him. And who knows, maybe that changes Quantum Leap. I mean, he brings Ben back, and Ben is at the project now. Maybe Ernie.
And then
Ernie Hudson is leaping for a while. And that's when he comes face to face with Sam.
That could be too.
And, if magic does have memories of Sam Beckett and what he did, maybe he's we get that moment where he says thank you, and Sam's like, for what for? Well, you saved my life in Vietnam. What you did back there saved me, and it changed my life forever. Not just being alive, but so many things, so many doors, so many gateways were open to me. Because maybe he has a little bit more, just like I said before, when Sam leaps into someone, some of that information is kind of crossed over. Maybe some of Sam's intellect crossed over into magic, and maybe he was a little bit brighter than what he was. You don't know.
Yeah.
So that's
the other thing. The other thing I thought was weird was like you were talking about, like why would Ben jump if he's going to be married to this girl?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I was thinking like, well, the reverse would have been true. Like, why are they getting married if like 4 weeks after they get married, she's going to jump and they're not going to be together? You know what I mean?
Well, they even said that they're way off from even trying to experiment with anyone. They're still running simulations, that they're even potentially years away. Now here, Ferris points out zip ties weren't a thing in he says in 1987. I think he meant until 1987. So in 85, let's do a little Google search here.
Yeah, I mean, good fact check on Ferris if he's right. And then he touched on something with Ian too. One of the things I'd probably toned down just a little bit is Ian was a little much for me. In present day, if we can tone him down, just I don't completely hate the character. Just I think
it's the actor playing him, because he also appeared in the Sandman series.
Okay.
That's that's the one brother of Sandman who's like pulling strings behind the whole situation. The devil-like person.
Yeah. That's the same.
I think it might have been Lucifer.
Huh.
No. I like that they're being inclusive. They've got everybody, but in a situation like that, either Ian or Magic, I'd rather get camera time from Magic. I'd rather have Magic explain something to me than,
Fact check. Correction. Zip ties. When was zip ties invented? 1958, Memphis, Tennessee. The cable tie patented by the tie wrap. It is also called various names, include zipper tie, et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah, Google fact checks it at 1958. But yeah, I'll admit we didn't really see zip ties used until later years. We didn't really see zip ties in the 80s. You would have seen someone handcuffed or maybe tied with rope or
they weren't using them for like handcuffs until way late. I don't remember seeing that till like the late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah, really.
Because the cops switched over at some point, and
but
then again, I've always wondered why the cops use zip ties instead of handcuffs, because I know that trick works. Because I've watched a number of YouTube videos about people getting zip tied, and they're like, "This is how you get out of a zip tie," and they tighten it, and then you just pull, and it snaps in half. And I'm like, so I know that works.
Usually the police
they teach it in a self-defense course on how to get out of a zip tie.
Well, usually police will use much thicker ones, so it might be harder for them to break, or they might be actually doubled.
Yeah.
That's a possibility, but that's definitely a good call. Ferris is 80. He meant 85. Let's catch up. I had the Casio watch. They had alarm cameo. That feels.
Yeah, that was a good reference. That was a good reference there.
The head programmer seemed a bit androgynous. Yes, the actor who plays Ian is a they actor, if I'm wording that correctly. So I mean, They obviously, with it being 2022, we have to be inclusive. We want to do the inclusion of anyone and everyone there. So I mean, that's perfectly fine. And you can tell from some of the styles, like almost the Matador style length coats, that the blazer came up very, very short, like midriff. Yeah. And the back almost had tails like a tuxedo coat. But yeah, I mean, that's perfectly fine as far as I view it. In fact, one of the scenes that they show in the trailer for episodes to come is Ben leaping into a woman who's being proposed, and I think like she or Ben is wearing like leather clad outfits, which are kind of a unique wardrobe choice. Let me hear. The actor is that persona in real life. That is their thing. Yep.
Yeah.
And Obi-Wan says, "Let's be considerate of talk time or not. Have a good night, y'all.
See you later.
Have a good night, man." Well, it's the first episode, so we kind of have to, do some comparisons with the old and new. And I think we're gonna end things at the next 12 minutes here. That'll bring us on 2 hours. So
yeah, I'm gonna have to go to bed. So.
Yeah. Well, fortunately, me, I'm positive this week. For those that know, so I unfortunately will not be working for the next 5 days, and then I will be abiding by health directives for the next 5 days after that. So,
yeah,
but I'm still up and at 'em.
Hopefully, it doesn't get worse for you, man.
Yeah.
Well,
I think I had it for about 2 days. It was more like COVID caught me, not the other way around.
Yeah, my wife had it last week. She returns to her job tomorrow, but she's already mad at me because I was like at 102 temperature today, and she's like, "How do you have this much energy right now?" It's like I made her breakfast. I did a bunch of stuff, and she's like, "How are you?" I'm like, "It's me. I mean, we got all of our shots. We did our boosters, but I think my gastric bypass. Because if this happened to me a couple of years ago, before I went through my surgery and lost all the weight I did, I would be in much worse shape, and I probably would be in the hospital right now. So,
yeah.
But let's catch up here. Vern says, "What if Ben leaps into whatever body Sam is in, and Sam ends up in the waiting room?"
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of like if he leaps into him, yeah, he would be bounced back to the future. But there's one problem with that. In the original series, especially when there was a simul leap with Sam and Al, there was a body in the waiting room. We don't have a body in the waiting room anymore. Or as far as Sam doesn't have a body in the waiting room. The last we saw Sam, he was leaping with his own body. So there's no anchor per se, unless they can somehow latch on to Sam through some other means. Some kind of quantum trail, like I mentioned before. I that's the only way I can see something like that happening. Now, if they were able to target the accelerator without a person in the accelerator at the point of where Sam is, I think that would be kind of a weird kind of way to kind of pull Sam into 2022 to the project. Because if there's no body in the waiting room, there's no anchor. At least that's as far as I see it. What do you guys think?
So yeah, that's an interesting thing. So in the beginning of the original Quantum Leap, like in the first 4 seasons, so when Sam leapt into the person's body back in time, that person's consciousness leapt into Sam's body in the waiting room.
Yeah, well,
so when they leapt back, Sam's body was like a shell just laying on the floor.
Well, it had its own table, but yeah.
Yeah, now let me see if I can pull that back up.
I think there was a time it was actually the one of the guys from Sex and the City played Lee Harvey Oswald, and they had a scene where they're in the waiting room where Al and Lee Harvey Oswald are having a conversation with each other. But when Lee Harvey Oswald looks in the mirror, it's Sam Beckett in present day.
In the waiting room right here, let me just pull that back up. In the waiting room, you see there's a table, but that was more like kind of like a futuristic, like looking like medical bed or of sorts. But it had a reflection right on the base of it. So when Leon Kanowski looked at it, he saw Sam's face, just like Sam sees the face of the person he leaps into.
Yeah. So when that guy there would leap back into his body in the past, Sam's body would just be laying on that table with nothing in it. Well, it's an empty shell. Is what you're saying,
in the novels, they actually explain this. They actually explain that between leaps, there's actually, there's actually months, sometimes weeks or even months between leaps.
Yeah, there was. Yeah, it seems like Sam jumps from one to another, but in the reality, it's weeks. Yeah, I remember they mentioned that. They actually mentioned that in
one or two, something like that. Yeah, something like that gets brought up.
But so what I'm getting at now is like, is Ben's body sitting on the floor up there? Do you know what I mean?
One, we don't know what shape or form the waiting room takes right now. So that's going to be interesting
or if there even is one, is what I'm getting at. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, well, we know it could be more of a chamber that his body is being kept in, or maybe he has, like you mentioned about food and stuff.
Well, they didn't say anything, but I mean, like, what did the girl walk into the quantum leap spinny dealy and find his body just laying there with nothing in it? You know what I mean? Like,
well, there was no explanation about that. I mean, for all we know, once they found his body in the accelerator, because they would have found his body maybe passed out in the accelerator and moved them into a room, or even they probably have like maybe a med bay or something like that. There may be a chamber where they have him held and he's receiving IV so that he's getting nutrients to his body.
Yeah, and they would have to keep his heart pumping and his brain alive or something.
Well,
right?
No. I mean, just because he's unconscious doesn't mean that his brain isn't working or that his lungs aren't working. A person could be brain dead, but their body is still, they're on life support and they're still functioning. They don't need to have their heart pumped.
He'd have to be on heart life support, right? Yeah. I don't know.
Well, it all depends. But I mean, hopefully those answers are more going to be answered in coming weeks. We got the next few episodes.
They're all good questions. I think the story can still move forward without figuring those out right away. I think as the show goes on, give us a quick shot back at in the present, and then sort of kind of fill in the gaps, but still leave a little bit of question, because that was one of the things that worked really good with the original, was you didn't really
we didn't have
everything.
The answers to all that.
Yeah. What about but one of the things that I liked on watching it on Peacock was that you got limited commercials.
Very limited commercials, and they're short. So
yeah, the first 15 minutes, maybe even 20 minutes, you didn't get a single commercial.
No, yeah.
The back end on the other half, though, it was very, very back end heavy. I hope they fix that to where it's kind of balanced out. I get it. You have to put commercials in to pay for the channel and whatnot. I just hope that they fix that, because the first half of the show was really good, and then the second half was like commercial after commercial after commercial.
Yeah. But I mean, we'll definitely see what's going on with that. Now, let me see. I'm pulling up IMDb. We have the first 4 episodes listed here. Just shrink this right there. So obviously we have July 13th, 1985. We have Atlantis. Ben finds himself headed into orbit aboard the space shuttle Atlantis in 1995. Addison confides to Ian about a discovery and finds herself at odds with Magic and Jen. That may be reference to the video message at the end of the episode.
Yeah.
We get a couple more episodes. No, they don't list those 2. One of them I saw was something like, let's see if I can find it here. Let's see if I can find it. Yeah, probably not going to be able to pull it up here. There was one that said something like God likes Ben, or looks out for Ben, or something like that. So maybe there is going to be a religious kind of connotation, religious view of, is Ben religious? Is he going to go that, God, fate, time, or whoever is out there is controlling things, or what? I see him as more science. We haven't seen any kind of inspiration of God or any theologies or beliefs so far. I definitely see him as him being more science, and even like magic. We didn't really hear like maybe we would have heard something like, oh, the original project believed that it was God leaping Sam through time. We never heard anything like that, and I actually think that they probably would do good to leave that out, because that might push some people off in some shape or form.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's a different time.
I mean, what, the original show ended in 93, and here we are as 2022. So, we're looking 30 years later, just about. So, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. He's supposed to leap into a boxer at some point, and somehow, Addison is supposed to show him how to box. It's one of the episode plots I read, and that kind of reminds me of the Kid Cody episode when Sam leaped into a boxer that was supposed to help a convent.
Fall. Yeah, he was supposed to take a fall. Yeah,
but that definitely kind of gives support that we might see him leaping into similar stories or similar characters. Some person posted online that they thought that one of the people who were boxing against him was actually Sam as Kid Cody. I'm like, no, I think that was in the 50s, so I don't see that happening unless they're already going to be leaping out of his lifetime that early. I think that's episode 3 or 4.
The rematch, the Rumble in the Jungle, Ali and Foreman, because the side story was the bookie that was controlling the fight.
Yeah, because
so I think Sam now were able to with pre-knowledge get the
that's what it was. About some, they said some guy named Foreman. So yeah, I mean it's going to be interesting to see where it goes. And yes, this is a pilot episode. They have to throw a lot in together. So like I said, I wish there was this, or John might say he wishes there was that. There's plenty of time. As long as my only gripe is with NBC is why would you throw the show up at a 10 o'clock time slot on Monday nights? Yeah. Because we're battling against Monday Night Football, Monday Night Raw.
Yeah.
And last night, they had 2 football games.
Yeah.
Because up here in Buffalo, we had the Monday Night Football game at an earlier time, but all our stations were playing either that, like our NBC affiliates is Channel 2, WGRZ. They were playing that. They were playing the Bills game.
Yeah.
I have Spectrum as my TV provider. Fortunately, I found another NBC channel that was actually airing Quantum Leap at that time. So otherwise, if someone's not going to look in the upper thousands on their channels, they're not going to see that. So, I mean, it kind of throws things off. Unless you're a big Quantum Leap fan, you're not going to go searching. I mean, in that situation, I mean, like, here we are. We planned this stream, and I'm like, wait a minute, I can't find it? I'm not going to watch it? Okay, I'm going to have to struggle on my lunch break or something, try and fit it in so I can watch the show. It's just, I think Monday night is a terrible time slot. I think Tuesday would have been better.
They always say Monday nights and Friday nights are the kill shows.
So, yeah, and Quantum Leap found itself on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays through its original run.
Yeah.
In fact, the very last episode was on a Friday night.
Yeah, this is way before the era of TiVo or even DVR, I think. So if you missed it, you missed it. So
the best we had was VCR.
Yeah.
Best we had was VCR. I mean, we didn't even have DVD players yet. We had Laserdisc back then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember my dad had an array of VCRs at one point because he always liked to record the news, but he would record ABC, NBC, CBS. He liked Fox. He would record, and a lot of them around at the same time. So he had like 6 VCRs in a stack, all programmed to record every channel that he could get. And some of them overlapped, and it was always funny that he had all these like this bank going. And then of course when they kindly came out with like TiVo and those kind of things, it was like a dream for him because he could record multiple shows on multiple channels all digitally.
I will never describe TiVo as a dream because I hate it in my profession. I do technical support for a cable company, so please, TiVos, no, they're the worst.
Well, I mean, he used the cable DVD box. I'm just saying TiVo as a generic term.
But I mean, it's.
Well, now he uses Amazon Cloud to record everything.
Yeah, you got those DVR clouds now.
Yeah, he's got the cloud thing because we don't even have cable TV now. We have no cable service provider.
But I do want them to, because it seems like this new project really doesn't have a whole lot of information or mentioning of the old project, except for Ziggy.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping once Ziggy comes back online and stays online, that maybe she gives a little bit more information.
Yeah.
Maybe she references, Ben's in a situation where, he's in a dire situation, and maybe she references Dr. Beckett actually did this during this one leap. This, and if you follow this this theory.
Everything should be in our database, right?
Well, we know that Ziggy has crashed, and we know that that's, look at it. The last sleep that we know of is 1999, and it's 2022. So you're talking 23 years later. We don't know what state Ziggy was kept in. Ziggy could have been completely unplugged. Her code could be very antiquated. I mean, you're talking going from Windows 95 to Windows 11. So there could be a lot of files that are...
She was a more sophisticated AI than even what we have today back in 1999.
Yeah, but sophisticated AI is one thing. You still have to draw data from files and hard drives. So who's to say? I mean, there's a lot of things, because one thing you got to take in consideration is Ziggy might have been in mothballs. And take a look at the control rooms now. It looks completely different. And for all we know, this project is taking place somewhere else.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a lot that...
Well, the other thing is we don't know when their project was shut down, because at the end of the last episode, it said Sam continued to leap for the rest of his life and he never made it home.
Well,
so
the wording was Sam Beckett never leaps home. That's what they said, because his body was no longer at the project, so he's perpetually leaping. I've seen there's been heated discussions on some of the Facebook boards, Facebook groups, that, if you shut down the project, then Sam stops leaping. No, that's not the case. He was fired in the accelerator, so he was thrown in time. He's going to keep on leaping. Just because you pull the plug doesn't mean he's going to stop leaping. He's going to keep leaping and leaping and leaping.
But what I was getting at is that for a period of time after that last episode, you could imagine that Al was still working as his hologram as he leapt through time. You know what I mean? Like,
for however long they can maintain connection. But because here's another thing, you have to look at it from this perspective. If Sam's body is no longer there, they don't, I mean, if they report to the government...
Why are you assuming Sam's body was no longer there? Because that bar was not a normal place. So maybe after Sam leapt out of that bar, his body went back to the holding cell and he continued leaping as normal.
Okay, here's my reasoning for that. One, when he leaped into that bar, he saw his own body, his own clothes, his own mirror image, and he had a Velcro wallet with his driver's license from the future, from 1989.
Yeah.
Okay, so he physically brought that stuff from the future. Whether that bar was some place like a waypoint between two destinations, we could argue that all the way until the cows come home. But he physically had those items there, for one. Two, they said Dr. Sam Beckett never leaps home. In the new show, as Edison says that Sam never made it back. Now, that could allude to his body could be there, or his body never returned back to the project, that his body never physically made it back. So that's my reasoning on that right there, because they did say that the project was abandoned. And let's face it, if they're getting funding from the government, if they report, because they have to disclose all their files, obviously, if they disclose that Dr. Beckett's body has vanished, well, if his body is gone, then we're just going to write him off as being dead. Then why should they continue funding a project if its leader is gone? And right now,
but even if his body returned and was just laying there, you would probably record it as dead because it's lifeless. It's just basically laying there as an empty shell. You know what I mean? So I don't see what the difference is.
Well, I look at it this way. I mean, it's open to interpretation from everyone. I look at it this way, as that means, he never leaped home. For all we know, he's leaping in his own body because of that last episode. That's how I view it.
Yeah.
See, I took it. I always took it. Yeah, I always took it as that bar was a special place, and that was a one-time incident. After he leapt out of that bar, he continued leaping the same way, because once he leaps into a different person, where does his body then go? You know what I mean? Like
that bartender Al told him, he makes a reference that, priests, right before they take on a more difficult mission, they can take a sabbatical. And Sam says, does this mean you're telling me the leaps are going to get harder? He says, yes. Now, that to me suggests that what would make the leaps harder? The situations or the fact that it's Sam who's leaping his body around, that he doesn't have the comfort of being concealed as someone else. Now he's going to be an outsider that walks into a person's life and has to make things better. That I view as what would make things harder. You know,
see, I thought
at least that's how I view it.
I took it as the situations were more difficult to change. Not that he was. I mean, that is interesting. If it was, if he just was leaping through time in his own body and never took over someone else's body. I didn't think of it that way.
Yeah, I mean, that's how I viewed it.
Yeah.
Because
then it's more of a sliders thing. You're showing up as yourself in your own body, and you gotta. But then there'd be all these photos of Sam Beckett throughout time.
Who's to say there isn't?
You know what I mean? That would be something to show.
I mean, for all we know, Dr. Sam Beckett got stuck somewhere and pretended to be an actor named Scott Bakula.
yeah.
I mean, any number of possibilities. He could have been stuck as an NCIS agent in New Orleans for 2 years. I mean, it's
possibly a captain of an enterprise. We don't know.
Yes, Jonathan Archer.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's a lot of stuff. I mean, who knows? There's a lot of conjecture as to whether Sam was his. Is it his body? Is it an image? Does he physically leap into that person's physical body and has control of it? There's been those arguments, honestly, for decades. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
But I base my reasoning based on what we saw in the last episode of Quantum Leap, based on what we found out from this one. She said that he never made it back. She doesn't say, he died. We don't hear that. He never made it back.
Yeah.
So to me, that makes you go on the assumption that it was his body leaping forever. And
I took it as his consciousness never made it back.
Yeah.
Not his body.
I mean, yeah, because he leaped into his body, he leaped his body. So I mean, if you saw that mirror episode, that mirror image episode, where it took them almost the entire episode to lock onto Sam without having a body.
Yeah.
Because they used the mesons and neurons of both Sam and Al that were programmed into Ziggy. That's how they lock on. Okay? Because there's a similar, the Leon Kanowski episode, Gushy had to step in for Al, and there was a very poor connection because they could not align the mesons and neurons properly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, with no body, you're relying on a heart, it's harder and harder to maintain that connection. And obviously, if the body is missing, I can see the government kind of saying, like, there's no body anymore. You haven't had contact. You haven't had a lock on him in, let's say, 2 or 3 years. We think it's time to mothball the project. And obviously, that would have made Al very bitter.
Yeah, we'll just have to see how this new show goes and if they answer those questions.
Yeah, and I can see that transferring over onto Al's daughter. Maybe we'll get more information about that very soon, because I get the feeling that Magic is going to try and hunt her down, have his security head hunt her down to try and find out what exactly was done. And I did hear they are going to be adding some more reoccurring characters to the show. Now, I don't know if that means evil leapers, like Wolfpack said. I would hold off on that. But, they might be trying to shake things up, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But
what's really going to happen is they're going to have to see how the ratings go. If the ratings are really good and they see a lot of people watching it, they'll take their time and do 2 or 3.
The ratings would be really good on Tuesday nights, I say.
They'll do 2 or 3 seasons, but if they look at it 4 episodes in and go, "Holy crap, no one," our impression is that no one's watching this show, they're going to pull out all the stops. They're going to say, "Okay, bring in evil leapers. Maybe that'll get people into the show. Bring in this. Bring in Sam. Maybe
but
we need
that's going to come off as being a gimmick." Okay, the fans are going to see, "Oh, you're bringing evil leapers now, just so you'll get our attention." I mean, it should be a natural progression.
But that's how the networks work,
Okay, so what at what point do you think the show would jump the shark? What would be a jump the shark moment in let's just say season 1? If you certain things that would stick out to you, like, oh yeah, they're floundering, or they're panicking. They're panicking. The show's not doing as good as they thought they would do. What's a jump the shark moment for you?
Well, a clear moment is if they suddenly just get him on board and bring Sam in. Like if he shows up in the 5th episode because ratings are bad,
I'll say
that's
this.
a clear way to get everyone to watch it is bring them back. Get the actor in the show in some way.
As far as Scott Bakula, one, maybe he is in talks with NBC. We don't know for sure. Okay, if he is, it could be a situation where they're saying, well, we want to work with you, whatever works best for you. Maybe he wants to hold off until the new year or something before filming anything. Family and whatnot. He's 67. Maybe he has other projects lined up. We don't know. And plus, would you rather know ahead of time, or would you rather just only see him on an episode?
Oh yeah, you'd rather just have it suddenly happen.
I would personally like to see that, and maybe we get that. Because obviously, if Ben sees Sam, he's not going to see Sam, unless it is Sam's body, obviously.
Yeah.
But even Ben can't remember who Dr. Beckett was, so he wouldn't know.
But that's what I was trying to get at. Like in a normal progression of a show, if it was going to last for a few seasons, you would drop hints and slowly build up to that, and then have it as like a finale of either a second season finale. Sam shows up, and then it cuts to a cliffhanger, and you're left till season 3 to figure out what's going on. But what I'm saying is, if by the 4th episode of season 1 the ratings are so bad, the network might go, get Sam in there now, because if you don't, the show's going to tank. Let's see if we can get him in there, and then everyone will start watching the show. You know what I mean? Like,
or what if they had, what if we get the reveal that Magic does have some level of ESP, and we get flashbacks of him telling the other, like Addison and the others, about when Sam leaped into him, and we get flashbacks from the original episode.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean about trickling it in. That's what I mean about trickling it in.
I can see something like that. If they got the original actor who played young Al,
to
make an appearance, Jamie Walters, I think his name was.
Yeah, California Dreams, I think, or something like that.
Jamie Walters. He had some songs for a good minute. But I mean, depending on how he looks now, he could look pretty close to Al. So this could be Al in the 80s.
Yeah.
Or Al in the 70s.
Is that the guy that played him in the Vietnam episode when they showed him walking away and the girl took a picture of him?
Oh, yeah.
No, that was actually Stockwell.
Okay.
That was Dean Stockwell himself. But there was an episode where where he was referred to as Bingo, and they actually put him in the accelerator, and they successfully fired him and made him leap into himself, and he did not continue leaping, and that's always been a big continuity issue. Because you figure, okay, if he's going to leap, he's going to keep on leaping like Sam does, right?
But he bounced back, huh?
But he was able to
watch that episode. Yeah,
that episode, young Al Bingo, they were able to aim the accelerator at the exact moment when, as just before where Sam would leap, and they were able to make it so that for some reason Al did not leap again. Bingo did not leap again. So that to me says that part of the whole quantum leap experiment itself, the whole project, has to do with your subconscious to some extent. Yeah. Because Bingo had to leap to save the woman he loves, Lisa, because he was a young, what was it, lieutenant or ensign or something at that point in time. That obviously, if you want to save the woman you love, you're not going to want to go anywhere else. So I think subconsciously that would keep Bingo in that point in time. Whereas with Sam's whole thing was about building the project was to change things for the better. We don't know what Ben's motivation is. Ben could have the same kind of drive that he wanted to change things for the better. Maybe he had similar theories to Sam. So, maybe that's why Ben is going to keep on leaping and leaping. Maybe his whole drive is he wants to save Dr. Beckett. Who knows? We don't know a whole lot about Ben's background.
Yeah,
all we know is the engagement party. We didn't get any other information. We don't know where Ben is originally from.
Yeah.
So we don't know anything about his life. As far as Addison telling Sam who he is, or their connection. Remember, Al kind of had to say hush hush. He couldn't say certain things, otherwise the committee would try and pull him out of the chamber, which they did in the first season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But slowly over time, Sam remembered everything. I mean, pretty much, So eventually Ben will.
There was times when he did remember, and sometimes when he didn't. So I mean, it's. So I mean, there is that. I wouldn't mind seeing like if they did, like a jump the shark moment if they got the actor who played young Al, and if he looked pretty similar to how Dean does, or if you got another actor who looked pretty close to Dean Stockwell. I can see something like that, but with him only being gone less than a year, or actually just about a year, I don't see them doing that. To me, Ferris brings up there was an extra episode. It wasn't an official episode. There was a fan-made movie called A Leap for Die, where they had some actors. They hardly look like Al or Sam. But it was a fan-made movie where where the Sam Beckett character leaped into someone, and they were trying to get his girlfriend, whose father happened to be like an ambassador, to try and prevent Princess Di from dying that night in the car in that tunnel.
Oh, yeah.
The only thing that they were able to change in that timeline was she got to say goodbye to her sons that night before she died. But the project was kind of a cool concept because the project was kind of put on life support, as it were, because like they had an automated hologram of Al working off of Windows 95. Like when Sam would leap, Ziggy was like running on a backup of a backup of a backup on this really old computer, and there would be like a blue screen of death that would appear. And, I mean, it was okay for a fan film. I remember exactly Ferris, so good callback. Ferris says they need the Quantum Leap fans to watch The Voice, not the other way around. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You know what? To me, it kind of. I'm still bitter. 30 years later, I'm still bitter about how NBC kind of buried the original. That fifth season was a little wonky. It had its good episodes.
Yeah, on Fridays.
Yeah, but it wasn't the Quantum Leap that we grew up with. Last night, trying to find it on Peacock, it was very hard. Peacock has got a ton of programming. These are all obstacles that the show's gonna have to fight just to get views, let alone whether these people watching it like what they're watching.
Well, I mean, I'm the first one to bring up the scheduling, and we can argue the scheduling all day long. But on the flip side of that, if this was 1993, that would definitely still be true. Fortunately, we have apps. We have DVR recordings, and Nielsen does a lot more tracking with DVR and on demand nowadays. That's the only thing that could potentially save it. That and the fact that it's NBC Universal and Comcast, which means in the past, I don't know how familiar you are with the USA Network and Sci-Fi Channel. They're all the same company. NBC, USA Network, and Sci-Fi, among a whole bunch of others, are all the same company. So they would be smart if they re-aired Quantum Leap on USA Network and especially on Sci-Fi. Because if there's any network that it should definitely be simulcasted on, I think the Sci-Fi Channel. The Sci-Fi Channel has some pretty good shows like Resident Alien and a few others. Maybe pair it up on a block with a few other shows, to draw them in, but still offer it on NBC. Because I've seen them show.
And some of them end up on Hulu, like Resident Alien. I watch on Hulu because what happened, but it wasn't that way in the beginning when that show first came out. They weren't letting it out to those other streaming apps. But after it went like halfway through the season, I think the ratings were going down. So they were like, okay, we got to let the other services have it. and that's what I think's going on right now. Right now, it's exclusive to Peacock because they want to draw in Peacock viewers. But if it doesn't pick up as much as they hope and become a draw, then they'll start releasing it out to Hulu and other channels, their streaming apps.
Well, I hate to put a downer on this, but I was on with T3 Collects yesterday. He did a late night live stream last night. Apparently Comcast is in talks with Warner Brothers. I don't know what would happen of that, and it would be a couple years before we even see anything. I don't know if any of you guys heard about that, but a possible merger with Warner Brothers and Comcast, which is Universal and NBC, that would be kind of interesting, but I think that could also harm a show like Quantum Leap. But we just have to hope that the ratings, that we actually get some good ratings, because obviously the first episode, like I said, please, NBC, not that you're even listening, but please, NBC, put it on like Tuesday night, or even, well, maybe not Thursday night because we got Thursday Night Football, but like maybe a Tuesday. I mean, Quantum Leap used to do pretty good on Wednesdays.
Yeah, it did.
I mean, what really big shows? What big shows are live? Well, no, AEW does wrestling on Wednesdays, so scratch that. So like we're talking about Thursday, Tuesday. I think is going to be the best prime audience for that, because Tuesday nights the big draw used to be NCIS. After our boy Jethro Gibbs, Mark Harmon left the show, its ratings has gone down pretty tremendously. They canceled the NCIS New Orleans.
I stopped before Fez joined because I liked the other guy and Gibbs together, and then when
Donoso,
Donoso, and when Donoso left, I was like, I'm done with the show.
Yeah, I mean, so Tuesday night.
But again, I never watched it when it was live. I never watched it when it was live because, like I said, we haven't had, like, I stopped having cable TV when I lived in Seattle, and when I moved to Florida here, we never got it. So I've been using streaming apps for 8 or 9 years now. So I don't watch anything live anymore.
Well, I'll be honest. You guys might laugh at this. Like, I have two monitors here. What I will do is I'll have one monitor I'm watching various YouTube streams, and another monitor I'll watch stuff that maybe I have on a cloud DVR or on like Netflix or Prime Video or whatever. So, I mean, I honestly don't watch live TV anymore, except maybe if it's a football game or a baseball game occasionally.
Yeah.
Or
live sports is the only thing I watch.
Or my Knicks.
But even live shows I watch on a streaming app. Like when I watch Formula One, I'm watching on the Formula One app, and it's live on the app, So it's like I'm not watching it on a network channel or anything,
Watching it last night, it got me thinking, when was the last time I was actually vested into like a network show? Because I've if it's the four major networks, I've kind of tuned out with this whole with
I'll be honest, I don't watch anything on Fox. I don't watch anything on Fox. I don't watch anything on ABC, CBS. Like I said, I used to watch NCIS, the old school NCIS before Gibbs left, before Mark Harmon left. I haven't watched it since then. Because NBC, I don't watch anything on NBC. I really don't. Quantum Leap is, it has me, either that or on Peacock. Apparently, it's dropping at 5 a.m. Central Time on Tuesdays on Peacock and also on the NBC app for anyone who is interested. So you can catch it the next day, early in the morning, and you can stream it right away. But my hope is that, because I've been trying to hashtag everything I possibly can on Twitter, on Facebook, trying to do as much as we can. Because that's why I had the little scrolling ticker here, little reminder: Quantum Leap airing on NBC every Monday at 10 p.m. So, it's one, social media is the only. I think that's the one saving grace of getting the word out there.
Yeah.
That they're tracking ratings through DVRs and on demand and all the apps. As long as those outlets are reporting correctly, I think that might be the balance to it all. Again, like I agree with you guys. I wish it was Tuesday nights or something like that. Some other day where we don't have, okay, like with a lot. I mean, I haven't watched wrestling in ages. I'll be honest, but I know you got AEW on Wednesdays and you got Monday Night Raw on Mondays. Those are two big draws because half the time I used to switch between Monday Night Football and Monday Night Raw. I'll be honest. I used to flip back and forth, and it's it's going to kill. And especially last night, we had two Monday Night Football games. One happened to be on NBC, and I was SOL. But then I found another HD version of NBC that was in a different time zone that I was able to watch. So I mean, there's a lot of different things that hopefully that's not going to be an issue moving forward in the future. But we just have to wait and see, I guess. Who knows? Yeah. Maybe they will shift it to Tuesdays. Maybe they'll say, "Hey, we can see reports in Nielsen's that maybe CBS isn't doing too well. Maybe we'll try and take over Tuesday nights." I can't see why they would want that voice show or America's Got Talent or some variety show like that. Think that this is going to be a good tie-in to Quantum Leap. No, how about you run Quantum Leap at 8:00, hypothetically, and have those other shows run afterwards. Quantum Leap, this day and age, the new Quantum Leap is not going to be your atypical family show like the original one. The original Quantum Leap was very wholesome, and let's face it, 30 years ago, TV was very different.
Yeah.
Now you could say shit, ass, whatever you want. You can say any of that on TV.
That's the new catchphrase. It's shit.
Yeah, and and even in the late 90s, you had people showing their ass on NYPD Blue.
After 10 p.m. though. After 10 p.m.
Well, Quantum Leap is airing at 10 p.m.
Well, what did they say in this one? Did he say? What did he say?
It was like, and it just ended it like that.
No, he said that's a mother cusser or something like that.
Ian said that's a mother cuss. It's instead of saying like a like a
instead of MF,
like instead of saying like a clusterfuck or sorry anything like that. I don't care.
Yeah,
it's after 10 o'clock on the East Coast. I can say what I want. It's my channel.
Said it was a cluster cuss. That's what it was. Yeah,
cluster cuss. Like
Yeah.
I'm like, we have another bot.
Nice.
I'll take care of you.
One of the things I'm looking forward to, and we won't even get to it right now. It's going to be 3 years down the line, 5 years down the line. Is the guest of the week? We're going to get so many of those that we're going to get stars that are coming in as guest stars.
we had some beans as we had a C-list star in the show. I can't remember the actor's name, but he's appeared in Z Nation, Veronica Mars. He was the restaurateur, the father husband, who they were trying, who Ben was trying to help out, and he's appeared in a lot of different shows. He even appeared in 1 or 2 episodes of Smallville way back in the 90s.
Well, they had Terry Hatcher. Terry Hatcher was in an episode of Quantum Leap.
Brooke Shields.
Yeah, Brooke Shields. It was Neil Patrick Harris.
Yep.
Was one of the kids
Jason
driving
Priestley.
the cars.
We can go forever.
Yeah.
There was so many of them. Yeah. Because when I was rewatching some of the episodes of the weekend, I was like, holy crap,
How about this?
Oh my gosh, look, wow, hey, this episode had so-and-so.
How about this? What if we get Neil Patrick Harris back again and we see what happened to his life?
Yeah, that'd be cool.
How about this? What's a wish list that you might want to see maybe Ben do, which is kind of a tie-in to the original series? I kind of thought, like, what if Ben somehow, since he's going to be leaping outside of his own lifetime, what if he came across the hospital that Trudy was in, Al's sister? What if he did something to kind of prolong her life or her quality of life, or did something like that?
Yeah,
I don't think that would be too much jumping a shark, but I think something like that, like maybe like somehow, what if Janice, Al's daughter, has her own way of communicating with Ben that the project can't see, because we know she was doing a lot of coding. Cool. Who's to say that she doesn't have her own rig that's beneath everything else?
That would be cool.
For all we know, too, it's not Dr. Beckett. It's Uncle Sam. If they were as good friends, if Al and Sam were as good friends as the show lets you on, that's probably she's probably got her own MO too. She's trying to find Uncle Sam.
Yeah, and I mean, for all we know, because after that final Quantum Leap episode, we know that Sam and or that Al and Beth had five daughters.
Yeah.
And so obviously when Sam and Al were building the project, they obviously had family dinners. And like you said, he's Uncle Sam. So, I mean, there could be a big dynamic. For all we know, Sam has more children because by that point in time, Sam and Donna were married. Yeah. And maybe they saw Al and Beth and decided to have a few children of their own. I mean, there's a lot of ripple effects that we don't see after the original show that could play an effect.
Yeah, I always wondered about all of Al's other wives because he mentioned that after Beth, he got married like 3 or 4 other times and none of them lasted. So I was like,
for all we know, one of them wound up marrying Gushy at some point. I don't know because we know Gushy and Tina had an affair a few times. Happened to
Tina? Yeah, Tina's the one I'm gonna always wonder. She's gone.
Yeah. Tina, Dr. Beeks.
But anyways, I'm gonna have to get going soon here.
Yep. We're gonna wrap this up right now.
Get some sleep before work.
Just again, anyone who's still watching or who's doing a rewatch, guys, please do me a tremendous favor and please check out Wolfpack Toy Review. You can search for him as Wolfpack Toy Review on YouTube and also at _Wolfpack_toy_review on the Instagrams. And of course, we got the Super Awesome Geek Show himself. You can go ahead and check him out. YouTube.com/C/Super Awesome Geek Show and Instagram at Super Awesome Geek Show. So please follow them out. We are the Leapers. We're gonna try and keep this going. Keep the episodes. Try and do some some breakdowns, some analyzing of each episode to see where it goes. Obviously, you can tell that we're huge fans of the original show, and I'm sure we're going to be discussing every episode. There's going to be, I think, as long as they keep those, like I think it was Wolfpack. You said like as long as they kind of keep those callbacks, those Easter eggs, as long as they keep the spirit of the original show going, I think that's going to keep people coming. But again, we're dealing with that schedule, that 10 o'clock at night. And if most people, if they're working at, in 8 to 5, they want to try and get some 8 hours of sleep, they might be turning off at a certain time. So that kind of plays into effect too. So
yeah,
it was definitely tough for me watching it live last night at 10. I'm not gonna lie, I did doze off. I'm an old guy. It happens.
So, what do you guys have going on this week?
I'm awake for work every day at 5 a.m. and I'm at my job by 6 a.m. So.
John, what do you have going on this week?
Coming up soon, I'm gonna do an opening of. I bought one of these boxes for the trading cards, so we'll open these and see what this metal Marvel Spider-Man universe cards skybox. So we'll see what those are like, and I've got some He-Man stuff to open later on. So
if you guys couldn't tell, we are the three of us. We cover just about anything and everything. Super Awesome Geek Show. He is basically a vintage toy expert. That's what I tell people. You're a vintage toy expert and an unboxer and reviewer of everything, especially when it comes to Lego. This Super Awesome Geek Show is right there in his name. Super Awesome Geek Show. Big supporter of the channel. Helped us out with a few fundraisers, and we got a lot of crazy stuff going on in the future. So, John, thank you for coming out.
Yeah.
Wolfpack, what do you have going on this week?
So we're continuing the streak. We're going on episode 96 weeks in a row of Weekend Fig Talk or Late Night Hype. It all depends on the work schedule. But yeah, Late Night Hype is for the foreseeable future, probably from now to the end of the year. We'll be doing the later showings on the Wolfpack Toy Review.
And guys, by the way, Wolfpack doesn't just do toy reviews. It's the dynasty. It's the whole family. It's him, Wolfmother. He's got his kids in it, and it's when you see Wolfpack Toy Review, it is a Wolfpack.
Yeah.
They just did. In fact, you guys want to check out his channel for one of his latest videos. He did an awesome food review when him and his family went to Chicago for a week. Your stomach is going to be grumbling just watching the video, guys. So please check it out.
Guys, I put on the weight for you guys. I took on the added calories and carbs. That's a thank you from me to you guys.
That deep dish was killing me.
Yeah, there's some
that deep dish looked pretty good.
Did you go to 11th Street? Did you go to 11th Street?
11th Street.
The diner.
I don't think I did that one. We did.
11th Street. 11th Street. 11th Street Diner. You got to get their cheeseburgers. You will die. Oh my gosh.
Because I think you said that you plan to do another trip back out that way, right?
Yeah. There's definitely gonna be another one. There's definitely gonna be another one. Chicago has so much cool stuff to do. I mean, the thing is, we went and did the whole tourist thing. As a bonus, we got to eat food. So we documented that. We documented the eating side of it.
Did you take the Batman tour?
The Batman tour, I did not.
All the what was it? I think it was the second movie. Was a lot of it was filmed there.
Oh, got you with the because Chicago's known for the elevated platforms.
So I went to all the spots where they filmed, parts of Batman and stuff. It was great.
Yeah, because Dark Knight was filmed there.
The second one, I think it was.
Yeah, the second one was.
Yeah.
But I mean, was it the hot dog with the bacon on it and just I mean, and I felt like I would have gained 5 pounds just watching that video, man.
Definitely. Like I said, I took the hits for you guys. I put on the extra 12 pounds on that.
It's the Wolfpack food review edition,
Yeah.
There you go. You coined the name perfectly.
So, want to thank both Wolfpack Tour Review, super awesome geek show. Dave's Dimension, actually, this week, I'm probably going to film a few unboxings because the Thursday night live stream is not going to be happening because of, my health. But this was a stream I was not going to put off. It's Quantum Leap. Very few things I will fight my health against, and that this was going to be one of them. I mean, back in my high school days, my DJ name was DJ Leap. So, I mean, that's how much of a Quantum Leap nerd I was back in the day. So, but no, thank you guys for coming out. Looks like we had, we have Toy Infinity and Beyond. Good stream, guys. Just sub to Dave. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Cool.
Yeah. Dave's mentioned it. For some reason, this past week, I've gained like 8 subs.
Nice.
Without any really new out there content. So, the channel's growing. I still have to do an announcement because we are 600 subscriber giveaway, but we're at 645 right now. So I'm kind of falling behind with that. So we're going to be figuring that out sometime soon. But guys, thank you for coming out.
Congrats on that milestone.
Do the 645 giveaway.
But by the time I do that, I'll probably get 647 or something. But we'll see. I still got a lot of stuff.
I'm always joking around about how I'm going to stop doing the ones that everyone does, 500, 1,000, 3,000, whatever. Like my next one is going to be 3287 because of Star Wars. They fell in that thing, and he's which one? 3287.
Yeah, I still have. Hold on.
Wasn't it 3827? I don't remember, but
something like that. I mean, I still have. We still got this guy to unbox. Like from Steel City Con, I got like 6 or 8 figures to unbox still from Steel City Con last month. I got plenty to film. Got some Marvel Selects and a few other stuff. So that'll probably be coming out sometime, maybe Thursday or Friday. But thank you guys for coming out. Anyone who's still watching, guys, we're going to be doing a Leapcast every week. We're going to keep it going. Who knows? We may be adding a few people, or maybe cycling people out due to scheduling. But guys, thank you for coming out. And until next time, we'll catch you in the next one. And by the way, as always, guys, please again check the description below. You're going to see links for everyone's channel right below. Please subscribe if you're not already. Check them out on Instagram and Twitter. And until next time, take care, and we'll catch you on the next Leap.
See you guys.
Oh boy.